drop the beat.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never. 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 I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I never liked him. I never liked racism. I'm a never Trump guy. Xenophobia. I'm a never Trump guy. Racism. I'm a never Trump guy. Xenophobia. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I never liked him. I never. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never. 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 I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked it.
Oh, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? I am beautiful. I hope that you guys are doing well as well. Whoa. All right. Let's do that one. Let's do that one. Let's click there. Let's bring this over here. Let's bring this over here. That's not the one that I wanted. Sorry. I'm assuming you guys are there. I'm looking for a certain video, though. What? This is bullshit. Where is it? I'm looking for a very specific video. It should be a separate video. All right, whatever. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Christian Laris, hello. Sultan Al Fahim, good morning. Shy, you got the head. Oh, it's a baboon head. That's interesting. Sultan Al Fahim, good to see you. Turi Guiano, I'm a never Trump guy. Indeed, Eben. Patriarch says, what's up? Christian Laris says, Lycan and Empathchan, we're going at it like on X. No, Dan Saltzman was talking some smackaroonies about Lycan, and then I was going to finish the Empathchan segment from yesterday. Some Patty says, good morning, y'all. We made it. True. We are close. How was the debate last night, by the way? I was there for a minute, but went to bed. It was terrible. You know, I like Garrett just fine. But effectively what ended up happening, in my opinion, was, what was it? My debate partner wanted to just kind of like jump onto random shit, in my opinion. They weren't necessarily dealing with what was being said. And then I'm setting up my NVIDIA broadcast, so I have the correct, like I have the noise gate and all that bullshit. So let me change it to NVIDIA broadcast and see if my mic is working. I'll explain the debate momentarily. Give me a second. I want to see if I can still talk. Yay! Now I have a noise gate. That way you don't have to hear my weird mouse sounds. How was the debate last night, by the way? I was there for a minute, but went to bed. It was okay. It was okay. So I like Garrett just fine. Free Will, actually made some contentious points, so I was happy to fight Free Will. Jen, who was my debate partner, was kind of like all over the place and would just randomly talk about random shit that wasn't necessarily relevant to what anybody else was talking about. And so as a result, and then also the weirdest thing about it, you can skip the first 20 minutes of the VOD because the first 20 minutes is them doing respective PowerPoint presentations. Apparently, everybody else but me got a note to do PowerPoint presentations for their intro. And to me, not trying to be like super rude about it, but I felt it was very silly and very autistic. Why can't you just write your points down in a coherent 2-minute summary and then state your 2-minute summary and then call it a day, All right. So very silly debate. Good morning to the morning crew. Good morning, Tezzy. Christian Blair says, Patty, it wasn't bad. Strange opening, though. Everyone brought a PowerPoint except for Connor. True, exactly. Goblin Studios, good to see you. Gen X, a PowerPoint night. My wife did that for her birthday. Weird. Short says, morning, what's a Destiny traffic helicopter? Okay, I know this is a family show, but I'm going to be vulgar, okay? Who it might have been Grassroots Hegemon who said, hey, man, I know the Destiny drama is hot. This was back when like everything broke. Maybe not, because January 20th was everything broke and I wasn't full-time until April, but it was somewhere in there. There was some Destiny drama. I was doing like the drama essays, I guess. And Grassroots was like, hey man, listen, I know that the Destiny dick watching helicopter, traffic report, I know that gets good viewership, but realistically, that's not why I view your content. And of course, I value Grassroots Hegemon's opinion because he's one of the oiler within the communities. Not just that, but he also seems like a genuinely cool and nice guy. So, I value his opinion. So him referring it to as that, I was like, that's pretty fucking funny, because that's really what it is. It's like, good morning, Tom. On I-4, we got some blockage in westbound traffic, and we're expecting some severe delays through John Young. That's what it's like, except for it's like, hey, good morning, audience. Good morning, chat. Today, Destiny, he brought a Nazi BPD e-girl to a political event, and his chat is giving him shit. Over 400 people have been purged from his Discord and Reddit so far. We'll keep you updated as things continue. Like that's that's the vibe. So it's basically a traffic helicopter about Destiny's sex life and how it causes drama within the community. So that's why we refer to it as that. Gen X says, from what I saw, they didn't want to debate. They wanted to write a research paper to prove the thesis. True. So Jen was in a debate, not our Jen, different Jen. Dick watching from afar. True. It was a joke at you, Mr. PowerPoint's paints. I know. I should have brought a paint. I should have brought a series of Microsoft Paint slides. That's what I should have done. You should have said that your dog ate your PowerPoint. I know. I didn't take performance enhancing drugs yesterday. I figured that I would be okay for that debate, and I was. I didn't take any hydroxyzine. Or was it conservative liberalism? It might have been conservative liberalism. I'm not sure. But it was it was absolutely a meme in the community amongst the people who that there's a split in the community. Okay. Probably, I don't know, maybe 30% of my audience are liberals, and I'm not offended by this. It's just true. They're liberals who just watch me until another favorite liberal streamer goes live. Okay. If Hutch goes live or Lonerbox goes live, they ditch me and they go to it. Amongst those liberals, there's a DGG subset that like Destiny, still like Destiny, still think Destiny's a flawed guy, but they'll sweep they'll sweep what they can, but they can't sweep everything. And so I think they appreciate me covering the Destiny dick watching traffic helicopter, because they effectively get, I think, like a sane check on their own instincts to sweep for Destiny. And so that's kind of like a subset of the community. But I think there's also a subset of the community that's almost as large, probably 30 or 40 people, who are just like, who gives a fuck? Like they just don't care. They don't care about, they might laugh about it. They might stick around for the content, but they just think like, Destiny's one guy. He's one creator. How big of an impact can he have? Why are we spending so much time on Destiny's sex life? And that's kind of their attitude for it. So, I've split community sentiment on the Destiny dick watching traffic helicopter. Randy says, get yourself a soundboard with some helicopter sounds and then do time and temperature. I know. It'd be funny, right? Sun Patty says, if I made a PowerPoint for debate, it would be as a Chad Jack and my opponent as a soy Jack, thereby winning the argument. I mean, that's what I do. Is anyone else celebrating Sawtober, enjoying it immensely? What, is that where you just watch all the Saw movies? We also found out Patriarch is willing to go gay for a green card based. Groovy Harp says, I watch Connor until he gives Halo takes, then I immediately close the app to lower my blood pressure. Really? Why? My Halo takes are Halo Combat Evolved and Halo Reach are fucking amazing. And then the other ones are probably good. 4 and 5 are meh. And 2 and 3 are they're good. They're just, to me, they're not as good as CE. I guess that's what it is. I think there's a generational gap. I think there's a generational gap within the Halo community where some people played CE for like 2 or 3 years before Halo 2 or Halo 3 came out. And so as a result, CE is like our bread and butter. We just grew up playing Combat Evolved, and Combat Evolved was our shit for like 2 or 3 years during high school. I think there's a slightly younger generation, only by 2 or 3 years, where they got to play Combat Evolved, but Halo 2 came out almost immediately when they were coming up. And as a result, Halo 2 for them is peak. And then Halo 3, Halo 2 and 3 had a really rabid, sweaty, aggressive multiplayer community. And so if you grew up during that time, I think you would see that as like the infancy of online, sweaty, competitive first-person shooter video gaming. So I understand how you could be romantic about that. My problem is, I guess my problem is I can sweat, but I don't have as much fun when I'm sweating. And so like online playing against like the best players in the world is not as fun to me as having like a LAN party where I'm easily like top 2 or top 3 best players. So I like being top 2 or top 3 in a casual setting and having a shitload of fun doing crazy shit versus being in a full lobby of sweaty FPS players. Andre Sunderlescu says, good day, Connor. What's your favorite fruit? Mine's grapes. I like apples, and specifically, I like ambrosias. Ambrosias are perfect. They're like just the right level of sweet. They're not really sour. I don't think they have any sour taste, but they're like gold and red mixed together. They're super fat and big. And not only can you eat them straight and they taste amazing, but also you can dice them up and put peanut butter on them. And I swear to God, peanut butter apples is a snack I was introduced to in kindergarten. I love peanut butter apples. I love peanut butter apples, man. That's like one of my favorite wholesome snacks. St. Patty says, Connor never experienced Fat Man custom games on Halo 3 Forge, and it shows. That's true. What was interesting was going back for Halo Master Chief Collection, and in the Master Chief Collection, they have that slide map where you have a warthog. You have like a dozen warthogs at the top of the map, and then you slide down a slide, and there's a teleporter at the bottom, and then one guy is infected, and he has a hammer. He has a gravity hammer, and he has plasma grenades. And then effectively what happens, this is like a reach mod. You just go down the slide over and over and over again, and you pick up speed to the point that it's like absurd. Like you can directionally move the warthog, but then, and you can move it and then like try to get fast and at a weird angle. So you take out the guy with the gravity hammer, but then it gets so crazy because the guy with the gravity hammer, number one, he can stick you with a plasma, which is always funny because it blows up the car. Sometimes it kills you, sometimes it doesn't. And then sometimes he can get a lucky grav hammer strike. And when he does, he'll like blow up the car and he'll blow up another car. It's awesome. That, like, I will say the most fun that I've ever had playing Halo was being stoned with my friends in high school playing Halo. That's the most amount of fun I've ever had playing Halo. A very close second was the game nights that we used to do like 2 years ago, where we played the Gravity Hammer slide mod for Halo Reach. That shit was hysterical to me. I could play the slide mod for Halo Reach for hours. I could do it right now. I could actually just like log into Halo MCC and spend the next 4 hours doing the slide mod. The shit is hysterical. Chort says ODST is the best. I didn't like how slow paced it was. To me, it was comparatively slow paced to CE, and CE is already kind of slow paced. I didn't like the jumping narrative because I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Who am I now? What's going on? But I think I just wasn't paying attention enough to the narrative. So I had like a very mixed experience on ODS. I think I need to revisit it and like bask in the ambiance, and then maybe I'll appreciate ODST more. Andre Sondalescu says, Groovy Harp says 2 and 3 are quote unquote good. Put the crack pipe down. Is that me saying that they're not good enough? Is that you? Or are you saying that they're bad? Cherries are the ultimate fruit, but only for a few months a year. True. Sun Patty says blueberries are my favorite, hands down. They're good. They're not my top. Genex says, oh yeah, we barely ever have pink ones here. Interesting. Groovy Harp says CE is a nude magazine you find in the garage. 3 is the voluptuous, lovely lady you bring home from Denny's at 3 a.m. It just doesn't compare. I think we just grew up in a different, like a slightly different Halo generation. I think that's all that happened. Slightly different generation, Halo generation. Sun Patty says, I'll re-download MCC for game night. Good. How long ago did you play ODST? Oh, I played it when it first came out. It's been like a decade and a half. Andre Sondolescu says, Halo talk reminded me of Halo Ice ads. Would dead. What is this timeline? Yeah, I hate the current Trump ad, man. Sacred Snow says, good morning. Good morning, Sacred Snow. Getting stone drunk with my boys is top 5 activities. True. My boys are too young, and I can't really smoke marijuana anymore without getting scared. But I'm wondering if I got into, if I get into my 40s or 50s and I do, I get like EKG and a sonogram for my heart, and my heart's looking good. And if I'm working out routinely, I'm wondering if I can drink beers and hang out in the garage with the boys and maybe smoke a J, play some video games, and have a good time. Wow Man says, are we back on Destiny dick watching? Bro, we didn't even. This is what I don't like. Okay, Wow Man 542. You're one of my most loyal soldiers, so I cannot chastise you too harshly. Okay. We only did like 30 minutes of Destiny dick watching yesterday. Okay. Yesterday, the content was like half Andrew Wilson. Then I brought up Destiny dick watching. And then we watched another like 90 minutes of Live and Learn. And then we did 30 minutes of Destiny dick watching. And then I had to leave early. So you're saying, God damn it, we're back on the Destiny dick watching. Dude, 90% of yesterday was not Destiny dick watching. So, you're complaining, but I feel like I am a fair content king. All right. CD Democrat says, I'm part of the Mountain Dew free Xbox 360 and Halo 3 generation. Right. I think there's like a 3 to 5 year gap between the Halo CE is peak and the Halo 2 and 3 is peak generation. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you guys were in your early 30s and if I'm in my late 30s. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the age gap between the Halo 2 and 3 are peak people. Summary Keller says, you want to feel really weird about America? Go to the Department of Labor and look at their new ads. It's disturbing, but it looks like all those ads, smut cover artists are getting new jobs. Yep. Second best activity to do while stoned is going to the gym with some headphones. Although I forgot to breathe one time while I was lifting weights while stoned. That wasn't great. Gilroy VFX says, yes, absolutely. That is how ODST is meant to be played. The ambiance and storytelling is the focus. When you bathe in the melancholy, you can appreciate the dire and surviving as non-super soldiers. Yeah, I didn't do that. I played it as aggressively as possible and got smoked a few times. Then I slowed down and then I got smoked. And then I jumped all over the place narratively and I wasn't paying attention to the narrative. I wanted what I wanted. I'll tell you what I wanted. It's not whether or not ODST is a good piece of art. ODST is a good piece of art. But if you guys remember the ODST commercial, the ODST commercial is a kid whose dad dies being an ODST, being a hell jumper. And then it's like a bunch of German guys like yelling drill instructor shit as the kid is like crawling through mud under live machine gun fire and barbed wire. Then it shows him like jumping into like a mud pool or an ice pool. And then that transitions into him doing his first drop as an ODST. And then he jumps out of his drop pod as soon as it hits the ground. And he starts like, running and gunning with an SMG. And he almost gets killed by a brute. Now, I wish there was like more action where he was shooting more bad guys before he got taken out, but it's okay. It's still an excellent trailer, like top tier, S tier trailer. And then a Banshee explodes in the background and the guy gets hit with a piece of shrapnel. And then it fast forwards, the shrapnel hit his face and hit his helmet. It fast forwards like 20 years where he's like late 30s, probably maybe even early 40s. And he's like a salty, grizzled war veteran with wrinkle lines in his eyes. And he has like this 1,000-yard stare. And they're at the funeral where it's like it's a combat funeral. It's an assault rifle with an ODST helmet dug into the ground. And so they're basically mourning one of their lost brothers. And then he gets this look of determination and he slaps on his helmet and the visor changes color. And then some younger ODSTs are looking at him and they slap on their helmets and the visor changes color. That's what I wanted. I wanted like a visceral, gritty, gut-wrenching, kind of difficult, violent, overwhelming story. And instead I got like soft jazz while walking through New Mombasa to kill 3 grunts. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? So yeah, I just the advertisement got me pumped, and my gameplay experience was a lot more somber than the advertisement. And so it's not whether or not it's good. It's still a good game. My mental pacing and the pace of the game were different. And so that's why I didn't I didn't appreciate it for what it was. Wowman says, I know yesterday was peak. I'm just tired of the GGGers brigading us to get to relitigate Destiny's lawsuit for the umpteenth time. I don't even think we did. You know what's funny, Wowman 542? I don't know if you watched my Destiny segment for the lawsuit, but I basically ignore everything Steven's saying because we've already been over it 10,000 times, and I just talk about how Empathchan pisses me off. That's actually like the entire content. And there's plenty of people in DGG who came over and watched the VOD, and they're just bitching because they're like, you're not even paying attention to what's going on. It's like, we've already gone over it 6 times, bitch. I rewatched the ODST commercial anytime I need some motivation to do the dishes. Exactly. That live action commercial should have been the core inspiration for the Halo TV series. Yes. Have you guys seen Landfall? Halo Landfall? I think it was shot by the same guy who did District 9. Justin says, Destiny again, let's go. All right, I appreciate that, even if it's sarcastic. AKA Batusai. Well, we decided that since I always say Batasui, so I say I'm going to be rude, or not that rude, but bat. Okay, there's BAT. That's obviously the right way to pronounce that. Two, TOU. Okay, and then Sai, I say Sui, like SUEY. All right, which is clearly not the correct pronunciation, but I think it's funny, and that's how I did it. Now, what we decided is that every time that AKA Batusai comes into chat and talks and I see his name, I have to say it with like a horribly racist Japanese accent. Like I have to go like, ashimashite, arigato gozaimasu, Batusai. And that's the only way I'm allowed to pronounce it from now on. Is Cyberpunk 2077 worth playing? Yeah, apparently they debugged it and it's excellent. Fast and Bulbous says freedom of speech is cool and all, but what about public caning people that confuse assault with battery? Yep. Tristan Clark says, worked with a Mountain Dew and Taco Bell kid, refused any other food for 2 years. I knew him. He disliked ingredients in general for food. He saved all his money and joined the Air Force Base. This admin will post an AI drawing of a General Custer firing a Gatling gun into a bunch of teepees and having a caption that says, reclaim your heritage. I know, it's Batusi. Yeah, that's funny, but I don't want to insult Batusai. If somebody start like that's like when people say CP for counterpoints. I'm like, you know, technically my name is CP because it's counterpoints. However, I spell it as one word because I don't like the CP acronym. And I don't know if you've heard of another CP, but there's another CP that's actually kind of controversial. I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to do that. You know, I don't know if I want to go by CP. So Batusi. Batusi. I think that's the way that I would feel about that if I was Mr. Batusai. Don't think it's sent the first time. Next time you're in the studio, just cut off D to his streaming desk. It's the only way. True. Okay, got a dip. Have fun, fam. Thanks, Harkamer. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate you. Batusai is actually the channel of the guy who made Turner versus Driver in the Supreme Court. Interesting. CD Democrats has laughed my ass off. Can someone just link him a clip of it being pronounced in Rurouni Kenshin? Nope. Just going to keep doing the Japanese racist pronunciation. Sabri Keller says, yo, for real, though, the Department of Labor is straight up bugging right now. They are doing some really weird propaganda bullshit, and it feels uncomfortable. Yeah, dude, we should all hate this admin. We should all hate this admin. The people love watching CP. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It gets uncomfortable really quick. Cerebral palsy? Yeah, let's go with that. All right, I'm caught up with chat. So, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. I have no business asking you for any money, okay? I really don't. You guys were incredibly kind in, what is it? It's the end of October right now, September, October. You guys were insane in September, and I have to say, I was expecting a dramatic drop-off in October. It was not dramatic at all. We actually had a really, really, really good month. So if you've already oiled and you're an oiler, do not worry about it, man. You guys have done more than enough. All right. And if you're a brokey and you're just paying bills and you're just surviving, I don't need your money. Okay. I want you guys to be chill. If you feel like throwing $5 or $10 my way, do it. Otherwise, we had a fantastic month, and I'm just excited to hang out with you guys for the next 5 hours and just chill and have some good content. So throw some money my way if you feel like it, but do not feel pressured to do so. Take care of yourself first. Yeah. Paul says, I was watching CP yesterday and Destiny needs to cool it down. Exactly. That's That's where it gets dangerous, right? Yeah, hurry up, babe. The CP stream is starting. Yeah. We've just gotten into work problems in my calculus course, and now I got to figure out what they want me to do because it's insane and I do not appreciate it. I'm just trying to do my homework. Yeah, bro, calculus is brutal. What was so brutal about calculus for me was we had a teacher who showed us the short form calculation where all you do is you like modify the calculation and you can find the instantaneous rate of change by doing like something super simple. And then he was like, okay, but that's not real calculus. So you have to do the long form calculation every single time. And then we had to do long form calculus. And that's where like for those of you who are really good at math, for those of you who calculus is a breeze, God bless you. But effectively, calculus in my mind is like the complex. I like algebra. It's like the complexity of algebra, but you basically have to do like 5 variables at the same time and track each variable specifically. And if you don't pay attention to one variable, you fuck up the entire equation. And so that's where for me, calculus was just not my jam. Yeah. Yeah. It was tough. It was a tough class. I barely passed it. I think I got a C. And my C was like a low C. It was like 70. I almost got a D. Connor will do a racist caricature of a Japanese man, but won't blindly charge into machine guns like a true Japanese. True. True. I can't learn calculus. It's so hard for me. Lol. Good with lit, history, and geography. Math is my worst subject. Yeah, a lot of people are either language or history brained or they're math brained. Destiny's dick is the biggest obstacle to preventing fascism. Yeah. If by that you mean that he's more likely to cause fascism because of his sexual behavior. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Even though I didn't catch them live, I watched the CP VODs. Base. All right. Anyways, let's do an intro. Let's get into it. I'll go ahead and make an executive decision. We will warm up with, because it's newer too, we'll warm up with the Lycan drama. And I think this is about Lycan. And we'll warm up with the Lycan drama, and then we'll move into the Empathchan. We'll go into some dry political Brian Shapiro versus, which it's a guy you haven't even seen before. I haven't even seen him before. He's some random redhead with a newsy hat, but apparently he's just some guy who was slamming the fuck out of Tim Pool on his own show. So I kind of want to watch that because that could be fun. Need a little bit of a palate cleanser away from Twitch and YouTube politics. Anyways, let's do it. Hi, guys. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, and I would argue a real Republican. Today, we are going to be breaking down the Lycan and Empathchan drama in reference to Destiny, because you know what? We can. We can, okay? We're going to do it. I should have already shared the screen with audio instead of doing this like a lame. But don't you worry about me. Matter of fact, I'm going to do my intro again because I want to make sure that it flows properly. All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, and I would argue a real Republican. Today, we're going to be breaking down Destiny drama in reference to Lycan and in reference to Empathchan. These are, Lycan is a former orbiter and personal chef of Destiny, and Empathchan is an e-girl that he hung out with recently. This is the Destiny traffic helicopter, the Destiny drama traffic helicopter. So let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on.
One last really mean thing.
Okay.
That I said. I'm not going to put it on anyone else. I'm going to say it. Lycan is a very nice guy in person. He's just not smart. That's it. He's just kind of stupid. I don't mean it like in a very hurtful way. He's very nice. He's a type of guy who would help you move. He's just dumb. That's it. I don't know what to say besides that. That's it. I'll put him at 100 IQ. Okay? Is that
Bruh. So mean. Dude, Dan Saltman is a vicious motherfucker. So for those of you who don't know, I went on to a debate panel one random time, and there was this dude in the same house with the octopus with this like crazy background. And like halfway through the debate, he's barely paying attention. He's barely participating in the panel. And then he's like, oh, yeah, well, like I'm a millionaire and I play video games all day, so I don't care. And I was like, good for you, motherfucker. Who gives a shit? Like, if you don't care about the topic, why the fuck are you on the panel? That was like my attitude. And then effectively after that, he was like, oh, yeah, I'm friends with Destiny. And so that's kind of like Dan's claim to fame is he is Jewish, he is rich, he is a Zionist, he is an anti-Hassan Piker guy, but he's also kind of an asshole, and that's his claim to fame is he's Destiny's friend, basically. And then this is Mr. Mooten in the bottom right, who was another friend of Destiny. And so just to summarize the drama, let's say that you're coming into this blind. Destiny is a liberal / progressive streamer. He's been involved in a lot of drama throughout a decade and a half career. Dan Saltman's his friend. Mr. Mooten's his friend. And because of Destiny's misconduct, social and sexual misconduct, Destiny became so toxic that they could no longer run the podcast anything else together because Dan Saltman and Dan Saltman's family were being harassed so aggressively that Dan Saltman moved the show over to co-host it with Mr. Mooten. Now, he's still Destiny's friend as far as I know. They're still going to be boys. They're still going to talk shit, this, that, the other. They're just not going to have Destiny on anything else until it cools down. And so now Dan Saltman is talking shit about another one of Steven's friends who kind of fell out of the orbit. But let's let him continue to talk shit.
That like a realistic thing? Average. Okay? And I expect more. Right, Lucas? From you?
I'm a 190 for you, Dan.
You're like 101, but it's enough.
I'll take it. They said they heard about the XQC story. What's the XQC story?
Did they?
What's up? Hold on. Let me confirm. What's up, little gup? A tier 5 says Dan.
Fast and bulbous. That is vile. I disavow. Funny. I disavow.
Can't stream, Mr. Mooten. Believe we heard about the XQC story.
Okay. Well,
hold
if
on.
that's
Wait.
true,
yes, you told it. Let's make sure. What's the
Let's make
XQC
sure.
story?
they may be baiting me. Yeah. What is it? The XUC.
Let's hear it.
I'll retell it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. They did. Yeah. Okay.
Read
this is more of fucking genius Lycan. I hate to throw people into the bus here. I don't. He's a bad person. Lycan had a
Interesting. Brian is the host of a Vegas-based political radio show, also a member of Unfuck America. I'm assuming you're saying, Andrew JD. His show is huge in Vegas, and he's a super nice guy. Met him at the University of Las Vegas event. Interesting. Just confirm for me that you're talking about Unfuck America.
job offer, I think when he was working at Progressive Victory or something, that he was going to be a chef for XQC, which is like a sick fucking job. It was going to pay him like a huge amount of money, by the way. It was like a lot of money, okay?
My question is, does XQC still live in Canada, or does he live in LA, or does he live in Miami? That's my question.
And Lycan fucked it up in such a colossally hilarious way that no one has ever heard of a colossal failure that's happened like this before, okay? Lycan was negotiating on salary when it was like 100K already or something. Lycan was negotiating.
Yeah, dude. If somebody's offering you like a 6-figure job to cook food 2 to 3 times a day, I think you just take that job, bro.
He was negotiating on, can I bring my friends over when I'm cooking? I shit you not, to XQC's house. Lycan was debating on, can I bring my dogs over to XQC? And XQC like, what the fuck is going on? Then it was also like, do you mind if I might take times off? Like, you know, for a week or two. Like, I can't remember all of it. But it was like it was like a giant list of unhinged, like, bro, you just got your dream job and you're over here being autismo stupid. And he lost it. He lost the job as a result of it.
Just
he literally
put the
fucked
fries in the bag.
He literally fucked up the dream job because he was like, "Can I bring my friends over when you're streaming and we can hang out?" And it's like,
that's like, literally insane to me because all you have to do is turn on your stream, living with XQC and making his food, and you will make double whatever he was gonna fucking pay you.
You know what else is that? I think Steve like kind of may have been involved with like that hookup as well. So he made Steve look ultra retarded as well.
Subry Keller says, I expected Connor to like Dan. I thought the Marines and the Coast Guard really had really good ties. You know, Douglas Monroe. Listen, man, I'll tell you what it is, all right? And maybe Dan has forgiven me, and maybe I can forgive Dan, all right? The story is, back in 2022, I was in my opinion, the only sane Destiny orbiter. It was like the era of Mr. Girl in Lavloon. And what would happen is that Mr. Girl and Lavlin would just jump on Destiny's stream all the time. And they would just like cause crazy fucking drama. And they were getting like 10K views, 11K views. And I was like, you know what? You know, that's cool. Like, I'm happy for them that they're like causing drama, making content or whatever. I kind of want to do that, but I don't want to overstep my bounds. And so, but I was watching Lav and Mr. Girl overstep bounds over and over and over again. And I was watching other orbiters do that over and over and over again. And then I was seeing Lav getting dogpiled for like the 70th time, getting just like totally shit on by half a dozen people. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to jump in and I'm going to try to steel man Lav. And I'm going to try to, help a bro out and fight the good fight. Well, apparently I yapped for too long and I was too boring because Dan jumped in the call and kicked me from the call. Kicked me. So that more people, probably because he thought I was boring. But, I think if you think I'm boring, then I think you're probably retarded. No offense, Dan. But Lav, basically so Lav could get dogpiled harder. And I was like, you know what? Fuck you, motherfucker. You're going to jump in. You're going to fucking like kick me. Nobody else is saying anything of value. Nobody else is saying anything above like an 80 IQ. So fuck you. And so then Dan, maybe like 6 months later, maybe a year later, Dan was on stream and he was talking this shit about how what Democrats should do is they should do a military coup where they incarcerate all the Republican, representatives, and they should pack the Supreme Court to reverse the decision. It was either Roe versus Wade or it was the Trump immunity decision, but that was his argument. And if it was like a 5-minute conversation, I probably wouldn't have done shit. I probably would have been like, okay, that's kind of dumb, but whatever. But this conversation was going on for like 40 fucking minutes where he was talking to Destiny about this dumbass idea about effectively cooing the government for the Democrats. And I basically jumped on stream and I just took a huge shit on him. I was like, fuck you. This is stupid as shit. This is why it's stupid as shit. You're stupid as shit. Shut the fuck up. And so I feel like I got my revenge for him, kicking me from the call earlier. And so since then, him and I, we DM'd once, kind of commiserating over the fact that Steven's being a dumbass and hurting himself. And that's really all it is. Like we've had a relational detente since that time. So it's not that I hate him. I don't hate him. If I had a couple of beers with Dan and we hung out and we bullshitted, we'd probably be fine. But I think the thing that rubs me wrong is he likes to big dick people. He likes to be like, oh, I'm Steven's friend. Oh, I'm a multimillionaire. Oh, I'm a cool guy. You're just some fucking loser. And that shit fucking rubs me wrong. The same thing that happened where he was it Forethought? Forethought was the Reddit mod. And in Dan's defense, Forethought did genuinely go unhinged. He attacked a girl named Kelly Jean. He was saying all sorts of crazy shit. Like some of the most fucked up misogynist shit you could possibly imagine. Forethought said to Kelly Jean. And so Dan was like, hey, I don't like you. You're a piece of shit. You're kind of a fucking loser. And you're a professional liability for Steven. I'm going to hope that you... Sure. Okay. So anyways, my wife wants me to be less loud and less profane while telling the same story. So I will try to be less loud and less profane while telling the same story. So Forethought probably deserved to be criticized, maybe even deserved to be, maybe not fired, but like, I don't know, like, hey, slow your roll, right? He deserves some professional guidance, I guess. But Dan was pushing for him to get canned. And so eventually I think Forethought did step down or he got fired. I don't know what really happened right there. But Dan going out of his way to, like, instead of mentor a guy and say, hey, man, I think you're messing up. I think you could do this better. I think you could do that better. He was like, no, I hate your guts and I want to ruin your life. And there was this like weird glee with which he took to attacking Forethought that I thought that was upsetting. And then same thing with him. Apparently he's like doxed a few people because they threatened to pirate anything else episodes. And so it's just crazy stuff like that. No offense to Dan, but in my opinion, he's a rich guy with too much time, too much money, not enough morality. And as a result, he acts like a schizo teenager. So, maybe we could break bread. Maybe we could be friends. But, that's my vibes right now. So that's why Dan and I are not perfectly aligned.
Which is like kind of funny in hindsight. Right?
Pretty funny, yeah.
Steve's like vouching for Lycan, and Lycan's like, so can I bring my dog and my friends over? Speaking of place, I believe that you have a clip that we can pull up real quick of something that just happened.
Yes, we fucking do. You really want to do Hassan Slop this early?
I want to start. This is a special form of Hassan Slop.
All right.
Just pull that video off.
Let me breaking news.
Breaking news. Breaking news. Breaking news.
Actual breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
This is a something burger.
Ultra giga rare presidential W.
Something.
Wait, I thought there was more to it than that. Did they clip that up?
Burger.
Listen, guys, look at this, okay? If I go to Anything Else podcast, that clip was like 10 more minutes. They might have edited it. What? I was watching another clip where they go for like another 10 or 20 minutes about it. I might just skip it because I'm not that interested in the Hassan thing. Basically, JD Vance mentions that Hassan Piker's a piece of garbage, which Hassan Piker is a piece of garbage for electrocuting his dog. He is a piece of garbage. Although a shot collar, if you set it to the right settings, I don't care. Like using a shot collar for training is not that big of a deal to me. It's more of keeping the dog in a single space for so long. That's more my beef with Hassan Piker. JD Vance calling him out, though, being like, oh, if you mistreat dogs, I expect you to mistreat humans. I think saying that is rich while doing the USAID and PEPFAR cuts and also drone striking random vessels in the Caribbean. I think that's rich, but whatever. Who cares? Just to explain what I saw, because I saw a longer clip of this where they were talking about Lycan. Effectively, I mean, that was the too long didn't read, so maybe they just cut out a bunch of fluff. But effectively, Lycan was so aggressive in his negotiations for XQC that, you know, he flubbed the job. And then that made Steven look bad. And then eventually their relationship soured. And then as a result, he fell out of the orbit. So maybe I'm like hallucinating that there was another 10 minutes about Lycan in here. Maybe I'm just straight up hallucinating that. But, you know, whatever. Who cares? I don't care about Hassan Piker. Hassan Piker can eat a bowl of wieners. Sorry that was so short for the Lycan content, but at least you got the Dan lore out of me. And then I guess we're moving into Empathchan
2.0.
So I am going to start it from the beginning just because we only half covered it yesterday. I'll put it at like 1.25 or 1.15. Steven's a pretty fast talker, so it might seem a little crazy with him accelerated, but I do want to get through at least like the first 8 minutes because I think that's how far we got into the content.
Shit going on in my subreddit. I don't even know like what to say in terms of people that are typing shit where they're like, how can you ever criticize anybody politically? Like if you are talking to or hang out with these people, I don't know what that even means. It's like
based. Andrew said, I am indeed talking about UNF America. He opened the debate at University of Las Vegas, did 30 minutes of debating while Steven and I were still trying to work out audio issues. Based.
One of the most retarded comments I've ever seen in my life. Like if you say that or think that, you should just leave. That's just fucking retarded. I'm trying to think of how much of my personal life I want to divulge. There's an online person known as Empathchan. This person is severely, I would say their online presence is very insane. Okay, that's like probably underselling it. We've kind of, I think they initially DM me as like a meme troll a long time ago. We kind of like chat on and off. Generally, it's
DJ says that's not how the combo went. Does Connor know it's on Destiny's channel? Explain how, brother.
I'll complain about like a Twitter account getting banned, and I'll say, hey, stop being so edgy and racist or whatever. I don't know why you're so fucking unhinged or whatever. At some point, they said they wanted to travel to the U.S. I'm like, oh, I mean, obviously you're sort of Miami, it's fine. I was going to do this event in Vegas, and rather than, I guess, like leaving them here, I was like, okay, yeah, I guess if you want to hang out at this event, it's whatever. At this event, apparently Darius recognized her, and while streaming, decided to go up and try to see if he could get content, and content he farmed. He did indeed get content. Obviously, I don't think calling people slurs or saying shit like that, especially publicly.
Got you. So Andrew is saying, Empathchan, this is from Andrew in chat, okay? Because I was pretty spicy when I first learned about the Empathchan thing. But what Andrew is saying is he doesn't think they were staying together in Las Vegas, and it seemed like they were ignoring each other during the event. And so maybe, so this is my guess, okay? My guess is that Steven allowed his instincts around BPD e-girls to allow him to invite her to hang out in Miami and maybe to hang out in Vegas. But then it turns out that she wasn't fun schizo, she was schizo. And so as a result, maybe it was awkward. So they had to continue, the traveling, the tour, hanging out and all that kind of stuff. But realistically, you know, the juice wasn't worth the squeeze. I'll still watch this content and break it down, though. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and explain what's going on. So let's say that you had no idea who Stephen Bennell is, okay? Stephen Bennell, aka Destiny, is a liberal streamer. He's probably like top 3 to 5 largest political commentators who does live streams. He's an excellent debater. His personal life is a mess. And what's happened is women, because he's addicted to women, he's let women ruin his life. Now that's his fault, to be clear. And he's also hurt people. So I don't want to say like, oh, women have ruined his life. No, he hurt those women, and those women in turn, you know, went after him, I suppose, is the nicest way to say it. So it is his fault. But what happened was, allegedly, Stephen made largely consensual homemade pornography with some of his partners. Then he sent it around to several people. And one of those people was what he believed to be an 18-year-old sex worker. And then the boyfriend of that 18-year-old sex worker leaked it to the internet. And then one of the people who got exposed in the leaks is suing Stephen. And so the reason why a lot of Stephen's audience is frustrated with him is, while still in the civil suit, he decides to hang out with a Nazi BPD e-girl. And BPD, for those of you who don't know, some people use it for bipolar disorder. I use it for borderline personality disorder. And borderline personality disorder is effectively like, you know, people really don't like it when I say this, but I think it's really funny. It's where you're such an asshole that it becomes a medical issue.
But even privately, I don't think it's a good thing to do. Obviously, I don't think it's okay. I don't sign off on it. I think I banned like 400 people. I went through, this was Pol Pot. This was some killing fields. This was some Holocaust 3.0 shit going on in my subreddit. I don't even know like what to say in terms of people that are typing shit where they're like, how can you ever criticize anybody politically? Like, if you are talking to or hang out with these people, I don't know what that even means. It's like one of the most retarded comments I've ever seen in my life. Like, if you say that or think that, you should just leave. That's just fucking retarded. I'm mainly saying this because I'm trying to think of like future things in mind. Like, I'm probably always going to talk.
Hold on. Yesterday when I was covering the same thing, I was saying that this is a straw man. So let's go ahead and take a look.
In terms of people that are typing shit where they're like, how can you ever criticize anybody politically? Like, if you are talking to or hang out with these people, I don't know what that even means. It's like one of the most retarded.
Okay. Actually, you know what? Maybe I need to amend my statement. How can you criticize anybody politically if you hang out with a person like this? Yeah, I think that's a silly sentiment. If I missed that yesterday, then my apologies. I think where I accuse Stephen of straw manning is that I don't think that's like realistically the majority of the criticism. I think the majority of the criticism is that this person is a professional liability, and then you're bringing them around your professional friends. That's the strongest criticism.
Comments I've ever seen in my life. Like, if you say that or think that, you should just leave. That's just fucking retarded. I'm mainly saying this because I'm trying to think of like future things in mind. Like, I'm probably always
Yeah, that's what it was. Melody says there should have been another thing about them talking about Lycan getting kicked out of the Anything Else podcast. That's what I wanted to watch, but it wasn't in that clip.
Talk to some like crazy unhinged people. Like, it's probably always going to happen to some extent. This person obviously was never supposed to be part of any like stream. I don't even know if she knew that Darius was streaming when he walked up to say that he like knew her from the internet or whatever. But people are acting like I brought this person as like an official representative of mine to like the Unfuck America tour or some crazy shit. I'm like, I don't understand. They're like, oh my God, like this reflects so poorly. Like, I'm not streaming this person. They're not up here like doing the opening speech. They're not like giving a exit ceremony. Darius decided to walk up, he streamed some shit. Like, obviously I thought the interaction was dumb, obviously.
Snaggers No says, skip the segment in 1.5 in D. Are you trying to speedrun a stream to hop on Arc Raiders release or something? No. I just know a healthy chunk of you guys. Like, okay, watching Destiny drama content is a good way to juice numbers, but it's also a good way to turn off 25% of my audience. So I want to get through it expeditiously and not overly milk it. I just want to do it as a content segment and call it a day. Not call it a day. We're still going to do the Tim Pool stuff. But I feel like the people who are looking for something substantive are going to enjoy the Tim Pool segment. Whereas I think the people who kind of enjoy drama, they'll be perfectly fine with some Lycan and some Empathchan commentary.
Again, I don't think anybody should be calling people.
I'm trying to make everybody happy, and it's not working.
Names or whatever, but people who are acting like, yeah, they're like, oh my God, does this mean he approves of every single, like, no, this is the most retarded thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Like, Jesus Christ. Also, the implication that I'm banging every single person or girl that I'm hanging out with, especially now, is I'm probably just going to permaban you if you say it. So good luck. You ever worry that you're going to ban your audience away, or do you think they'll all just make 10 alts like schizos? I don't know. I mean, if I ban too many people, then we'll just become a video game streamer. But the insane amounts of just like crazy posting is just like it's so unhinged. Holy shit. Like, I'm okay we've known this historically. Like, I'm okay having a smaller audience if it means cutting away from some just like retardedly unhinged people.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna draw it. I gotta draw it. Where's my Bob Ross wig? I am getting paid in the next. I got paid a small thing that I need to use in order to make bills. I am getting paid again in the next like 3 days. I will have a Bob Ross wig, some additional monitors. I'll take my Halo Magnum back to the range. I'll take the Bolter back to the range and test them again. And then realistically, I have another Glock 21. So I'm probably going to build the Glock 21 and sell it. And then by the end of the month, I'm going to try to buy the Keltec RDB. That way I can start building Halo assault rifles, Halo battle rifles, and Halo DMRs. But anyways, so this is Destiny, okay? He's got a choice. There's 2 directions that he can go, and I think that a lot of people want him to go in the more professional direction. All right? So let's write this down. So Destiny. All right? The creator, Stephen Bonnell II. You know, we know him. Sometimes we love him. Sometimes we hate him. Okay? That's Stephen, okay? So let's say that this is the less professional route that he can go. So continue to date / fornicate with BPD e-girls who then turn around and blow up your life by accusing you of abuse, revealing weird sex habits, body shaming, and generally being vindictive. I think that's something that Stephen could do. Create political commentary on streaming websites to an increasingly fatigued audience who likes your political analysis / debate strengths, but cannot defend your personal behavior. Still retire a multi-millionaire, but not achieve everything you wanted / were capable of. Okay? This is option 1. And hanging out with Empathchan kind of leans in this direction, right? However, what a lot of orbiters, including Erudite and I, because we're not just people who benefit from Stephen's career. I think we're also probably his friends. We probably care about him as a human being. We want him to do well. We want him to stop engaging in self-destructive behavior. So date slightly less crazy women, who you have a transparent relationship with, engage in less crazy, weird sex shit over time, no body shaming, and leave every relationship on good terms. Okay. I don't care if Stephen has a series of serial monogamous relationships with women who are willing to have serial, or not even serial monogamous. If he's willing to have serial relationships with women who are consenting to having, or men, I don't give a shit, or consenting relationship with him where there's like no weird crazy shit going on, and as a result it doesn't blow up and become vindictive. And I think Stephen would say that on a ratio, 80 to 90% of his relationships within the past 2 years are like this. but I want him to continue in this direction. And then I would say resolve the lawsuit with Pixie / any other party. Don't engage in civilly violative or potentially criminal behavior that can be used as weapons against you and your fans. And then reduce the criticisms of previous behavior over time. And then as a result, bridges to other alt media personalities and mainstream personalities will open up, allowing you to have more effect in political commentary, but also work with normie political, electoral, canvassing / volunteer / disaster relief / college events without fear of getting murdered / canceled. Okay? These are the two paths. And I think the reason why people are annoyed, including me, if we're being real, is Empathchan. Hanging out with Empathchan seems to point to the latter. Whereas I'm just going to put it, I hope she doesn't mind me saying, but hanging out with Sam, who is the person who videotapes me going to the range with Steven, Sam is infinitely more normal. Like, I don't know what Sam and Destiny's relationship is like right now. I hope they're still on good terms, but Sam is infinitely more normal, infinitely more cool, infinitely more chill, more this, infinitely more that. So if I'm Steven's friend, and not that he asked, but if he ever asked and he was like, hey, bro, I'm thinking about hanging out with like this Nazi BPD girl and having her over to my condo. And then she's going to come hang out at the Las Vegas event. She's not an official part of the event, but, you know, I'm going to hang out with her. Then I'd be like, that's kind of stupid. And then if he was like, hey, I'm going to hang out with Sam, we're going to go shoot guns and shoot content, I'll be like, based, do that. And so we're not just haters. We're not just like schizophrenic haters talking about his personal life because we parasocially hate and love Steven. We, Steven, professional / personal choices. We're trying to push him in this direction, right? Because this is not an ideal outcome. This is probably an ideal outcome. That's all it is. That's all it is. Sorry, I'm playing the content. He's just not talking.
Hold on, let me see. Are there any comments even worth going over? Bring back forethought and restore order. My Karma team does pretty good. Or very good. I shouldn't say pretty good. They do. I think they do a good job. Oh, this weird thing pops up. If you do this like weird thing that implies like, it's hard to tell sometimes. I can't tell how many people.
Hold on, man. I'll listen to whatever you're saying. But yeah, this is scary.
People bought into framing from other communities versus like how many psyopers there are versus how many just like retarded people there are. Like it's hard to tell. But like one of the most annoying things, I've said this multiple times, it's annoying when I like get it from both ends. Like one of the biggest complaints a while ago about my stream over the past like 2 years is how boring everything has gotten because there are no more orbiters coming in. There's no more like people that we talk to that are insane as all politics. Like for some people it's boring. They're like, oh, I miss.
Ooh, Crayon asked an important question. Valor Media Network, I'm behind. How did older Halo games age? For context, I'm a Zoomer and never got into the franchise. Crayon, or Crayon, whenever we start the game night, we're probably going to be doing Halo Master Chief Collection. And so as a result, we will play Halo Combat Evolved and we will play Halo Reach. I think they're excellent. And I'm actually really excited because the new Halo Combat Evolved remake is using Halo Reach's engine with, I don't know if I said that right, but it's using like Halo Reach's engine modified with the Unreal Engine. Or maybe it's vice versa. Maybe it's Unreal Engine modified with the Halo Reach engine. But the whole point is it's supposed to play like Halo Reach, but then they're using Unreal for the graphics. So it's probably going to be straight fucking fire. So number one, I recommend that you play the new one when it comes out. Number two, if we start doing game nights on Sundays, then I recommend that you come out for game night and get Halo Master Chief Collection, and you'll probably have a fucking blast. Sacred Snow says, I'm not complaining about speed running the dick watching as a DGGer. I'm 100% projecting as I sit at my desk contemplating leaving work early today. Nice.
Like every time I have like vegan gains or somebody crazy come in, like there'll be like 2 threads that, you know, get thrown up with like 600 comments and they're like, oh my God, I miss these days, blah, blah, blah. Like my personal life and everything's been significantly more boring the past 2 years. So like this idea of like, oh my God, like everything is, it's so fucking retarded. It's so stupid.
Or maybe you have multiple audiences who want multiple different things. You know what was funny? So this is my tweet right here. I didn't even realize that this was my tweet in the content. So this is Empathchan and Steven, and it's me as Walter White screaming. And then somebody posted it as the no lessons learned era, and that's what Destiny's reacting to. So for me, this is it, man. This is the drawing. There are people who want you to interact with Empathchan because they know if it blows up, that will be fun drama content. Then there's people who want you to take your career seriously, and as a result, break into more spaces and be more politically effective. And so, yeah, there can be a split in the audience in who wants you to do what. And even for the people like me who want you to be quote unquote more normal, yeah, you think I'm not going to comment on a huge drama when it blows up? Of course I'm going to. Why wouldn't I? It not only is it free content, it's entertaining. Destiny hanging out with a Nazi is interesting, funny, BPD e-girl Nazi. It's something interesting to talk about. So I don't think that's that hard to understand.
Yeah. This thing, like, thanks, Tiny, for bringing the neo-Nazi racist as a friend to the anti-neo-Nazi racist tour. Really cool. Like, I don't even know what... I don't like this,
because she's a professional liability, obviously.
Idea of like, I'm not bringing anybody up to speak on behalf of anything. Like, it really doesn't matter who else is here in any capacity whatsoever. Like, again, the only reason why people are even seeing this person is because Darius decided to walk up to somebody and try to start shit or whatever, which, you know, listen, to Darius's credit, I think he can do whatever he wants. And obviously Empath shouldn't fucking say anything, especially not these slurs.
Cosler says, do you believe he's not sleeping with his chick? I have no idea. He's saying that he's not. I don't know. I don't think it matters. You know, they're still hanging out, right?
Or whatever. But it's not like, I'm not like, this person's not on my stream, or none of these people are on my stream actively.
Thank you, Anonymous Chatter, for the $20. Ask Mrs. Points how many dues we need to donate to get her to stream, even if it's just for a short segment. Okay, I'll ask. Quick shill, like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. You guys have been incredibly kind. Last month was insane. This month I was expecting a drop off. The drop off was very, very minimal. I was expecting like a 33% drop off. We had like a 10% drop off in revenue. So seriously, thank you for making the past 2 months absolutely fucking bananas. If this continues, we have a relatively small community, you know, when I'm just talking about shit, unless it's a big drama. If it's a big drama, we're at like 200 viewers, 300 viewers or whatever, but it's just us. If it's just the community, we're around like 100 to 150. So I think we punch way above our weight class. So thank you. If you're an oiler, you've already oiled. Thank you. I don't need any more. You're doing great. Thank you for your support. Please support me next month. And if you're a small bean and you're just paying bills, just pay your bills. If you got an extra $5 or $10, throw it my way. But once again, we had a phenomenal month this month, and I thank you for it. And thank you for the super chat, Anonymous.
It's just a weird, like, yeah, I don't know.
Mad Money Max says, would I still support Destiny if he went to the column to the left? I mean, I'll be his friend. I'll go shoot guns with him. I'll still call him R-slurred. You know, I don't think Steven cares that I call him stupid sometimes or call him socially and sexually R-slurred. I don't think he takes that like, he's like, oh my God, this is so offensive. Connor has hurt my feelings. We can never be friends again. I don't think he does that. Thankfully, he's not sensitive in that regard. I think what he wants, which I'm happy to provide, is he just doesn't want the overly dramatic, painstaking gnashing of teeth and pulling of hair, mourning the necessary backstab of Steven, where you're just like, oh, this is the bridge of our friendship, and I must immolate it. You know, I'm so sad. I'm so angry. I'm so disappointed. I must immolate the bridge of our friendship. Thank you for the super chats, by the way. Like, I think that's what he's looking for. He's just looking for like a sane person to, and I think that's what Erudite is to a degree. Although I think that Erudite's stream with Turkey Tom was probably overly fraught. If I had to guess, that was probably some tension in the relationship. But I think he's just looking for somebody to just analyze shit and not be totally fucking crazy about it. I would say that my initial reaction to Empathchan was kind of fucking crazy. That's because Empathchan is a fucking crazy person. She's a fucking crazy person. But I'm not going to like DM Steven or call Steven and be like, oh my God, you're a monster. I must burn the bridge with you. You know, like that's not going to happen because I'm not, no offense to the gays, but I'm not a gay or a woman. So I won't freak out that way. I'll just one day, if Steven goes too far, I'll just DM him and I'll be like, hey, bro, this was too far for me. I parasocially love you. I wish you'd done something different, but it is what it is. I can't follow you down this path. That'll be it. That'll be it. And we're not there. And hopefully we never get there.
Jesus. Anytime somebody gets banned and they do this, like the 3 pages of like, I knew that you were blah, blah, blah. Like,
all right, hold on, hon. Let me actually read this to see if there's anything interesting here. Let me see if I disagree with it in it. 1-800-GET-SCREAM says, not only is she just a mega piece of shit to be associated with at all, agreed, but bringing her to Unfuck America tour, this isn't just bad optics anymore, it's bad behavior. The reason why I agree with this assessment, even if it's overly fraught, is because you're bringing a professional liability to hang out with your professional friends. Steven can say, oh, well, I just said that she could tag along or whatever, but she wasn't like my point of contact with the Unfuck America people. But at the same time, bro, like you're hanging out in Miami, you're hanging out in Las Vegas. What were the chances that she was going to go to Las Vegas if you weren't going to Las Vegas? Now, in Steven's defense, maybe he was like, hey, I could hang out with like a BPDE girl who's interested in coming to the United States. And then, I invited her to Las Vegas. And then I found out she wasn't fun schizo. She was schizo. And I found that out after she was already in Miami. That could be the case. But anyways, I knew this fucking moron would ban me over this. Quick tip, Destiny. Just because the people who critique you most on KF are insane and people like J-Stock are unhinged morons doesn't mean you're actually above legitimate criticism. See, I would ban this person too, just because it's all like... The fact that this liberal creator is so adamant on bringing on Nazis who have recorded themselves assaulting minorities and bringing them to his anti-Trump tour so they can call minorities racial slurs is all the proof anyone needs to see you're an effing moron when it comes to how you handle the ever-impending collision of your irresponsible decisions. Again, this is overly fraught because this is assigning intention where there probably wasn't any. Keep letting your black friends get called slurs. I don't give a fuck about that. And your son get called names by the Nazis you're bringing on world tours. I do think that Empathchan attacking Nathan is kind of fucking crazy. And I think that being tolerant of that is crazy. But once again, I'm not Steven. You can claim you can't block her from coming to public events all you want, but you said in the same breath that she came because of your discussions and because of your friendship. You sure are saving the world from fascism. You're doing a great job helping her fix her life, too, by bringing her to your events where she calls your friends racial slurs. Dee's defense for this has been that Darius has committed crimes too, as if there's any difference from associating with an unhinged person like Darius versus an unhinged Nazi who commits hate crimes on camera. Of course, this I would say, I miss AF Racing, okay? I do. I hope AF Racing comes back. But when I was talking about yesterday, where we were having a conversation about degeneracy, and then Andrew Wilson says promoting gay shit is degeneracy. And then AF Racing said, well, no one's promoting gay shit. And I said, of course they're promoting gay shit. And then he automatically assumed that I was saying gay shit was degenerate. It's not that we can't see eye to eye. It's not that if we don't clarify, maybe we could break bread. It's that he instantaneously jumped to, number one, he heard something that I didn't say. Number two, he said, you're lying, right? If we have a miscommunication, or if I say something that you don't like, that's perfectly fine. You can freak out in chat. You can spurg out. Don't accuse me of lying. If you say I'm lying, Or if you come at me with this like overly fraught shit, I'm just going to say, go fuck yourself. Right? That's all that's going to happen. So I understand. I don't know what the initial post was that got this person banned, but this does seem like over. You can say the same thing without freaking out this hard.
This is not only just a mega piece of shit to be associated with, but bringing her to the Unfuck America tour, this isn't just bad optics anymore, it's bad behavior. Like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, I showed up.
Hold on. The bad behavior is bringing a professional liability around your professional associates. That's the steel man of what's going on. So just because I'm criticizing the critic doesn't mean that I'm also going to let Steven get away with ignoring the steel man.
I set everything up, we did our event, and then we were done with the event. Like, what? The idea that like I'm officially associating some other, like, it's just like, this is just like deranged weirdo. Like, yeah, listen, if I see shit like this, I ban it. Stay gone.
Can't react to that, but y'all are saying some wild shit in chat.
This whole thread and situation is pretty blackpilling. Banning normies for thinking this is bad is unbelievably disheartening.
Yeah.
Neither of my comments were about Nobody's sex life, and I still got caught up in the bandwidth. What was this even referring to? Who could have possibly seen this coming? Like, just, this is an interaction between two people that were not on any of my streams, that I wasn't platforming, that I wasn't broadcasting. Like, it's just like fucking retarded. Hold on. So this guy in chat, just to be clear, she came to the event without your permission. I never said anybody came to any event without my permission. I'm saying, like, me having a person who just, comes to an event or whatever, it's not me like officially endorsing all of their past views. It's not me spotlighting them as like part of being at this event. They're not like on the stream or associated anyway. It's just a very fucking weird standard in my mind, but also in your mind.
I'll just repeat. The steel man is you're bringing a professional liability around your professional friends. That's it. What if she had run up and grabbed the mic? What if she had become a part of the event or forced herself to become an event? What if she had done the Q&A and done something weird? What if she had screamed? What if instead of screaming the N-word F slur at Darius, she had gone up to the Q&A and then done N-word F slur towards a speaker? Maybe not even Destiny, maybe a different person. What would have happened? And what would have happened is they would have said, how did this person get here? Who is this? They would have found out it was Empathchan. They would have found that Steven had tweeted with her, them hanging out with Miami the week before. And then Unfuck America and Zico and Sanchez would have caught shit for inviting Steven, because Steven's a controversial person, who in turn invited a controversial Nazi to their event. So, you could defend it, obviously. You might be able to turn it into some kind of like 5D marketing strategy where you're like, oh, well, we're trying to convert the Nazis away from their nefarious beliefs. But to think that you wouldn't catch professional flack and people might view you as a professional liability, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy talk.
And if you think that this is like a thing that's like really important to fixate or focus on, then that's fine. You can have that opinion. But also, like, I will ban you and I want you out of my community, because there will be people in the future that I'll probably hang out with, that'll be at events or whatever, that I chat with, that I play whatever. I guess not play games anymore. And like having this response every time, like, go join Ethan Klein's community or go find another weird cuckoo progressive community. Like, yeah, I'm just totally not interested. Like, yeah, this thing, the speculating on every single person. I'm fucking every single person that's ever been. Dan too, by the way.
Jim Baker, my favorite FBI employee, says, your content and perspective on things is unique, and it's good that you're getting so much support. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate you. Fast and Bulbous for 5 says, why does she go by Empathchan and not Adolf Hitler? I mean, maybe a rebrand's in order. Yep. Sin Patty says, stop being funny. I can't laugh in my meetings anymore. My apologies. Oh, man. Genuine question. Is it like the cardinal sins, murder, rape, to get you to leave a friend? Well, so hold on. So we need to differentiate this as well, okay? Steven, in my opinion, he might not feel this way, but he's like he's a lost soul, okay? He can dislike that I'm saying this. He doesn't have to like that I'm saying this. He can view this as overly parasocial. But in my mind, Steven is a lost soul. So let's draw the pit of hell. Okay, here's the pit of hell that Steven doesn't believe in. And let's put a filler in it. Let's do a fill. Solid fill. Let's change this to black. Yeah, there we go. All right, there we go. Now let's do a new one. Let's do Control Z. Let's move it back white. Let's do a new one. Okay, so let's say here's Steven, okay? I don't want to fill. I want no fill. Okay. And then I want black. Okay. So here's Steven. And he's just like staring into the abyss because he loves it. He's pointing at the abyss. He fucking loves the abyss, bro. Steven loves the abyss. All right. He thinks it's cool. He thinks it's funny. And then here's me. And I used to stare into the abyss, but now I'm like, hey, bro, the abyss is bad for you. Stop staring into the abyss. Okay. So I can't save Steven. Steven, I'm not Captain. Somebody said this yesterday. I said I'm not Captain Save-A-Ho to Erudite. And somebody said in chat, they were like, oh, you're not Captain Save-A-Bro. And I think that's so true. Like, I'm not Captain Save-A-Bro. All I can do is say, hey, Steven. Hey, religion is good for you, even if you don't believe in God or an afterlife, and your life will be better if you follow religious / philosophical virtue principles. Okay. This is effectively what I'm saying right now. All right. And I've said this to Steven privately. I've said this to him publicly. Let me go ahead and erase this shit out. So let's say that Steven jumps into the abyss. Okay. He just jumps into it. He's like, lol, I love murder. Ha 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 ha. I love the abyss. Ha 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 ha. Hold on, let's give him like a jump, okay? And then hold on, I want to do an S curve because jumping into the abyss would be like rape or murder, right? That would be like some of the worst shit that a human being can do. There's really two options from a Christian perspective, and I know you guys are like, well, Connor, you're not a Christian literalist, okay? So I know that there's some criticism here. There's really two criticisms, or there's two things that you can do once somebody jumps into the abyss, okay? When they jump into the abyss, you can say, wow, they fucked up. And so as a result, I can't hang out with them anymore. I can't associate with them. I can't talk to them. I can't do anything, okay? Or you can say this again, right? You can say, hey, man, even, you murdered someone, you raped someone, you stole, you defrauded, you did something that's evil. So, fuck you, and you're undeserving of forgiveness or friendship or repentance or mercy or anything like that. Or you can just repeat the same idea and try to get them to jump back out of the pit. And I know that you guys probably view, because a lot of you are, let's face it, you're like pagans, you're pagan morals. You think that once somebody jumps into the pit, they're no longer deserving of moral consideration. A lot of you are like, you're all about like rehabilitative justice, unless it's somebody that you have to interact with, which I think is so fucking funny. I think it's so funny that you guys friend staring into the abyss. Okay. So you guys believe in rehabilitative justice unless somebody does something really, really, really bad. And then you're just like, they're evil. Fuck them, But the whole point is like, number one, I was raised around Christians. Number two, like Christian philosophy, Christian religion is based on the fact that if you actually start to live the good life, I know you're supposed to believe in Jesus Christ, but let's skip that for now. But if you start to follow God It doesn't matter what you did. You could have been a rapist. You could have been a murderer. You could have been fucking Genghis Khan. You could have been running around the plains of Malaysia, or plains of Malaysia, the plains of Asia, the steppes of Eurasia, just raping and murdering across the entire world. But if you stop being a piece of shit and you genuinely atone or try to atone for your sins and you start being a good person, then forgiveness is yours for the taking. So that's where I was kind of a douchebag when the drama dropped and people were like, disavow, 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 disavow. But I still believe this shit. I still believe this. It doesn't matter if it's a clout thing. Steven could lose all his money, lose all his clout, lose everything, go to prison, go to jail or whatever. And he could do some horrific shit. And I would probably still say this to him. And if he said, hey, Connor, I'm broke. Can you put $20 in my commissary and can you come visit me and talk to me? I would come talk to him and I would say this again. And I would say this again. And if he's like, yeah, but like, I love being evil, then I would be like, okay, well, you're probably a piece of shit. So it's the same thing with Empathchan, by the way. Like the Empathchan drama. It's funny that this is coming up in reference to the Empathchan drama. The reason why I got so angry about Empathchan walking around spitting on random innocent people and random homeless people is, as far as I know, she hasn't repented at all. She hasn't even attempted to repent. She's still the same kind of person who would do that fucked up shit. People were saying that she was doing that as recent as a year ago. And so if she was like, yeah, damn, like, I was off my meds, I was going a little crazy, I was a little schizo or whatever. Or if Steven was doing that, even if Steven was Captain Save-A-Ho, maybe this isn't me. Maybe this isn't Steven. Maybe this is Steven, and maybe this is Empathchan. And he's trying to get her to back out of being a fucking schizo piece of shit. Now, you can't save them, right? Because what happens is if you try to grab onto this person and they jump into the pit, then you might fall into the pit as well. The reason why I'm not worried about that in reference to Steven is because I can still keep going with my digital media career, regardless of whether or not Steven does anything. Steven could set his career on fire. Steven could become infinitely more successful. It doesn't really matter. I could keep going with the Warhammer. I could keep going with my political commentary. I could do some commentary on Steven fucking up his life every now and then. It actually doesn't make that big of a difference whether or not Steven becomes a good person or a bad person. It actually doesn't. The reason why I'm continuing to do this is because I think that there's plenty of people who stare into the abyss and they destroy themselves, but they are either capable of getting back out of the pit or they're capable of being talked out of jumping into the pit in the first place. So anyways, I hope that clarifies things. Yes, I want to save it.
Oh, they brought up her fighting with Nathan. I'm pretty sure Nathan wrote a thing on her first. Listen, if Nathan wants to start fights with people, that's on fucking him. I'm not here to regulate any of his shit for him fighting with people online.
But right there, man, like right there, this is something that I would address. This is Empathchan talking shit about Nathan. Like your boy's 15 years old, man. Like for me, your loyalty is misplaced. Now, if you're Captain Save-A-Ho, you're trying to save Empathchan from herself. Okay, cool. If you're trying to get her to be less of a piece of shit over time, okay, cool. But the fact that this isn't addressed, I hope this is addressed in private. In private, I hope he's like, hey, you can't talk shit about my family or else we can't be friends. You know what I'm saying?
Fights with people, that's on fucking him. I'm not here to regulate any of his shit for him fighting with people online. But yeah, I'm fucking ashamed of this. This shit is disgusting. Like, it's just, yeah, I don't know. That's all I got. Good luck. Good luck on that.
DJ says, sure, the combo went mostly between you, Pisco, and Destiny, and you coping about the shitty SCOTUS rulings on immunity. That was the crux of the discussion. Yeah, but that was after dunking on Dan, if you're still talking about the Dan thing. That, and also you just disagree with me. DJ says, sure, the combo was mostly between you, Pisco, and Destiny, and you coping about the shitty SCOTUS rulings on immunity. That was the crux of the discussion. Sure, but I think the first like 10 to 20 minutes was me shitting on Dan. I don't think that changes anything.
Darius is toxic as fuck, though, to have at public events. You associate with him, and he's at these events. It just makes the events look bad. But I mean, even for Darius is not there like in an official capacity. It's like, oh, here's my featured guest, Darius, my friend. Also, I don't know if it's because Darius is a guy or he's been in my community for longer, but people are like, think Darius is based in Epic And so it's like funny and cool when he's at events. Like I think somebody was telling me like people were even championing Xena in Darius's chat when Empath was being unhinged, and it's like, bros, we're like, yeah, I don't know. I guess the complaint is that the person is such a shitty person. Why associate at all? I have a lot of friends that have had a lot of different things on the internet or have done a lot of things. I don't agree with all of those things. You have no idea what the level of association I have is. You have no idea what our conversations are like. Like, I don't understand the instant jumping to like, oh my God, like Destiny must co-sign and sign off.
Yeah, Sacred Snow says, on the AF racing topic, if you're a regular, I feel like it's not too much to ask that you don't instantly jump to the worst assumption and rage quick. You stream five hours a day, let's be real. You're not going to phrase things right every single time. If your streamer says something crazy, at least give him a chance to explain. Yeah. Why would you assume that I was lying? And why would you assume that I hated gay people? Like what about my content shows that I hate the gays? You know, Steven's a bisexual. I don't think I've been particularly mean to Steven. I don't think I've been particularly mean to any gay person.
On like every single unhinged thing this person says, like it's just fucking retarded. I don't know. Yeah. The critiques of you because of her opinions or tweets are pretty retarded. So you're friendly with Myron.
Conservatism says, Connor, you don't get it, bro. Spitting on people and yelling slurs was part of her past views. She didn't do it that day. It was almost a year ago. I know, bro. But then that argumentation, which I'm sure some people are posting, that argument gets a little bit nullified by calling Darius a N-word F slur, right?
People are fine with it. Well, no, people are pretty somewhat critical of my thing with Myron. Not as much, but not suing for Empath because she's unhinged, but Darius drops the F slur and Xena says the N slur. And well, isn't Xena allowed to say the N word? And all the anti-Semitic stuff. I'm not here to like play like games between saying like one is worse or one is whatever. That's just not what I'm interested in. I'm just saying that I don't have like, I'm not bringing these people in like an official capacity.
Okay. But again, just to reiterate, the criticism is that let's say that I don't know. Let's say I invite Lauren Southern to let's say that I join the Unfuck America tour, okay? And I invite Lauren Southern to hang out in Orlando, and then I invite her to hang out at the Unfuck America tour, all right? And let's say she's not there in official capacity. We're not streaming together. We're just hanging out as friends, all right? Platonic friends. And then let's say that I bring her to the debate, but then she gets up at the Q&A section and she says, you know what? All these filthy insert racial things, all these K slurs, all these, jihadists, all these XYZ ABC, they're ruining the country. F you, you're a piece of garbage, blah, 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 blah. And I have a bunch of social media posts over the past week of me like hanging out, thumbs up, smiling. We're friends. Don't you think that as a member of the tour who invited that person to hang out in a social capacity, that would reflect poorly upon me for hanging out with that person without challenging them on their beliefs prior to them doing something insane? And then not just that, them interrupting the event with their insane perspective. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Empathchan did. As far as I know, she sat in the audience. She was quiet. Darius confronted her, and then that's when she said the N-word F slur. So as far as I know, like the total drama elapsed is like 30 seconds, and it wasn't even like public. It was Darius's stream where that bad behavior was documented. However, risky behavior. Are we familiar with the concept of risky behavior? Just because you get away with a risky behavior doesn't mean a behavior was risky. If you skydive 10,000 times and you survive 10,000 times, that's awesome. That doesn't mean that jumping out of a plane isn't somewhat inherently risky. So I think this is cope.
To any of these events. So to talk like it, or especially just like the comment that probably rage baits me the hardest if you're trying to get banned is usually when people say like, how can he?
Yeah, Officer Nasty says, I do mean apart from Steven, like you can use any friend. Yeah, I think for most friends, I would do this. For most friends. I have 3 or 4 infantry friends who have killed people. I understand killing people in war and murder are different morally, but you have to understand that like the psychology of killing people, I think is pretty unique. And so I have a few infantry friends who are killers. They've killed people, and I would be there with them till the end. And I have alcoholic friends who probably, let's just say if they don't have the best sexual habits, and I would be with them towards the end. And again, just because somebody jumps into the abyss and they do something fucked up doesn't mean that they're not capable of some level of redemption. So are they worth, vouching for professionally? Probably not. Are they worth trying to just encourage to do the right thing eventually? Yeah. Yeah.
Criticize any of the stuff that Trump is doing when this happens. It's like, what? I don't even know how to engage with something so fucking retarded. Like, yeah.
Keycode says you're not going to get Destiny to go Christian. Lol, you can still have him change his behavior without God. Well, I mean, I think that's even in my drawing, Keycode. Even in my drawing, I think I say exactly that. Don't I say that? I think I said exactly that. Hey, religion is good for you even if you don't believe in God or an afterlife, and your life will be better if you follow religious philosophical virtues or principles. I mean, Keycode, I don't think you're disagreeing with my drawing at all. I didn't say you have to believe in God to become a moral person.
But okay.
Anybody want to go for a splash in the abyss? Nice.
Have fun with that. Is this normal? Do we normally send carrier groups to South America?
Christian Clark says 125 viewers and 33 likes. That's correct. Like the stream. It's free. Share it with your friends. If you have a good time, say, hey, I was hanging out on the Counterpoint stream. We had a good time. He's kind of funny. He's kind of weird. He's kind of whatever. Super chats if you got him. Memberships if you got him. Thanks for hanging out. Parasocial love. We had a beautiful month. Seriously, I can't thank you guys enough.
Isn't it still an indictment on Destiny's character that he runs cover and hangs out with Empath? When am I ever run cover for anything? I don't think these are real comments. I don't believe.
Officer Nasty says, so if that murderer rapist continues to make the same mistakes and has no repentance, what do you do then? I think you just let him wallow in the abyss after a while, right? You can keep saying this. You say, hey, religion is good for you even if you don't believe in God or an afterlife, and your life will be better if you follow religious philosophical principles. But if you say that 10 times, 20 times, 100 times, whatever, and they have no indication of changing, then yeah, I think at some point you just have to say, hey, man, hey girl, I love you, but you're not changing. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting people around you. I can't be a part of it. And I wish you well. If you ever change, if you ever get interested in this stuff, let me know. But, I can't be a part of it, So I don't think Steven is beyond redemption. And I don't think his sins are rape or murder. And I think people pretending that it's rape or murder, I think they're kind of R-slurred. But yeah, you keep the door open to them saving themselves from the abyss, but you don't jump into the abyss in order to save them. That's probably the main thing. You don't let yourself be drowned in order to save another person. You can't.
Believe that you're a real person, or if you are, you don't belong in my community. I do not run cover for people's beliefs when they have bad beliefs that I don't believe in. It's the same thing for like when you went to have dinner with Fuentes. It means that all of a sudden you agree with all the neo-Nazi shit. That's just not the case. But if you think that about me, especially at this point, I don't know why the fuck you're here. Just go be.
Mad Money Max says, Connor, thoughts on food stamps pause. If it goes more than 60 to 90 days, then we'll see whether or not people are rioting because they can't eat. So that'll be interesting.
Be somewhere else, okay? The Ford CSG, what does it stand for? Carrier something group? Not something actually, but.
Randy says, I was going to fly out this BPD schizo e-girl to hook up with, but then I thought about what Connor said to me one time. Destiny 2042. Wouldn't that be so based? Wouldn't that be the better timeline?
That carrier group was listed to Russia just a few months ago. You see how fucking twisted the admin priorities are? Carrier strike group?
Leader says, what was your take on Dan, by the way? I think you got to rewind 45 minutes. Basically, like, Dan and I got beef, but it's a silly beef, and we could probably get over it. Dan was talking shit about Lycan. It was kind of funny. That's about it. Gen X says, when did that happen with AF Racing? Yeah, that was yesterday.
Wait, hold on.
Rob says, man, I wish Connor would join the Unfuck America tour. If they go to FSU or UF, I'll go. I'll go for sure. Yeah, I'll go.
You're not running cover for her personal presence at these events, though.
Keycode says, are you going to have another one-on-one podcast with Destiny again? Yeah, maybe. It all depends on Steven, man. Like, he's he kind of sets the pace for our relationship. And I also understand that having somebody like being critical of the way that you conduct yourself personally could probably get fucking annoying after a while. So if he eventually says, you know what, man, you're criticizing me too much, I don't think I can be your friend anymore. Like, I would understand. I hope it doesn't happen, but I would understand. And then basically he's been like super busy this past month. Obviously he's been traveling all over the place. I think he's been to Europe. He went and did the Las Vegas trip. So I just assumed that he was busy. So I haven't really reached out. I'm probably, if I don't hear from him at all in another month, and it seems like his travel has slowed down a little bit, then I'll probably reach out and be like, hey bro, how you doing? Blah, 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 just checking in. But I'm also not going to force it either. He's a busy guy. He's got plenty of people who are talking shit about him. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
What does that even mean? Running cover, like, as in, like, I think they can exist in a place and not be in jail, or I don't know what the fuck that.
I'm just going to let this play out. He's not really talking about the drama anymore, but I'm assuming that they let it play for, you know, some reason. There's like 6 or 7 minutes left. So I'm just going to let it play just for the sake of completion.
Has Darius allowed a statement on the matter? I feel like Darius has made all the statements. He can do whatever, he can say whatever he wants about it. Why have you only brought up the fact that she is crazy online, and now that she has literally spat on homeless people, minorities, it is like you're covering for a horrible person? She says, I've never covered this person my entire life. I think that her online shit, when I say online shit, I mean the stuff she's posting on Twitter, which were those videos. I think it's fucking crazy. Like, the idea that you're like assuming that I would like cover for this or say that it's okay or good, no, it's fucking unhinged. But I've also told her as much. Like, we've talked about this in the past too. It's like her whole online shit is fucking crazy. When I say online shit, I just mean the stuff that she's posting for attention or whatever on Twitter.
Yeah, Morally Loaded says, I spent years working with people in recovery. People can change. It's the ultimate white pill to watch. Listen, man, that's another thing too, is I spent the last weekend in Georgia with a bunch of recovering addicts. And so, you know, it's hard. There's obviously people who relapse. There's obviously people who they get clean and sober. They think they have a strong head on their shoulders. They think they got discipline. They think they got this. They think they got that. And then one of the interesting things about the program is that you graduate. It's a 2-year program, and then you graduate. But I hate to say this, but it's true. They have a whole bunch of people who have relapsed, but they relapsed because they left and they didn't have the social support that they had within the program. Now, what's interesting is because there's like a mentorship level of the program, what happens now, and I would encourage the program to continue to do this, is that they effectively have graduates become mentors. And then some of those guys have relapsed, and then they've had to go back through the program again. But it's like 4 reasons that you understand. Like a family member died, or they were hanging out with a friend and they got socially pressured to drink a beer. Then once they drank a beer, they're an alcoholic. And so they totally fell off the wagon and they were ashamed of it. So they didn't tell anybody for a few months while they were off the wagon. But what ends up happening is, if you kind of have this like forgiveness attitude when it comes to staring into the abyss or being an addict, if you say like, okay, well, you fucked up, but you have the opportunity to become somebody better. Oftentimes people will be like, okay, well, I don't want to die. I don't want to fall apart. I don't want to be a piece of shit forever. So I'll pick, you know, if you help me, I will pick my shit back up and start my best to be good again. And yeah, that's a huge white pill. It's a huge white pill to see people fighting addiction, and they don't win. They don't win every battle. They don't win the war because it's probably a lifelong struggle. But to see them like valiantly struggle against their addictions and their vices, it is white pilling. I love it.
If you don't like some person that I'm on friendly terms with or whatever, that's fine. But just the insanely soy over the top of like, oh, now he can never say anything bad about Nazism or some political thing because it's just like,
yeah, that's cringe. Obviously, Steven can still criticize bad ideologies, and he can hang out with schizo people, and he can hang out with bad schizo people. That's not my criticism. My criticism is the professional liability to unfuck America. That's my criticism.
like fucking retarded.
Dank Brandon says, did you watch the Rob Noor modern day debate video on left wing versus right wing violence? I watched the first 5 minutes, man, and he in his opener he says, "Oh, well, black people are a part of the Democratic Party disproportionately, and black people are more violent than white people. So we all know that the left is more violent than the right." And I was like, okay, I'm just going to go kill myself instead of watching this content.
How do you even end up talking to people like this in the first place? Usually people just reach out or message me. And then there's the one of the few people I've spoken to throughout the last like couple of years, because all of my other friends ditched and abandoned me. Rip Reno, so.
What if they're addicted to your stream? Should they go into recovery? Absolutely not.
Do you have more far left people than far right people as your friends or on friendly terms? I'm not actually sure right now at the moment. It's probably 50-50 if I had to guess.
Batusai. Mr. Batusai said, but it doesn't make sense to hang out with someone that could be a Nazi while being mad that other people are Nazi dog whistles. Well, hold on. If the hope is to try to like reform a person, where maybe you could change the speech bubble and you could say, hey, your political ideology is dog shit and evil and murderous. You should change your political ideology to something that's more white pilling, beneficial, and pro-social. You could still analogize this thing. The whole point is, though, just don't jump into the abyss yourself trying to save somebody, right? Wait. Did this Arthur just blame his friends leaving him for bringing Empathchan around? Did I miss that? Sorry, I know we're trying to get through it. I'll put it at 1.5.
Terms. I'm not actually sure right now at the moment. It's probably 50-50 if I had to guess. That being said, should anyone believe you when you say you're not sexually involved with people after you swore up and down about Lawrence? First of all, we both have very good reasons to want to keep that private. Okay, number one. Yeah, I would just say there's a much greater incentive there to keep things under wraps for a variety of reasons. But I'm also sexually active with your mom, so get fucked. Okay, there you go. That's your drama slapper for the day.
I'm good with that. That's good enough. I'm sure he says something else, but I'm not going to watch him like click and type and, you know, kind of be quiet for the next 5 minutes in order to get whatever is there. But this is the takeaway, man. The takeaway, in my opinion, is this. All right. If you have a friend and they're either staring into the abyss or they've jumped into the abyss, then this is my message. You could say whatever you want to say. If this doesn't apply to you or your perspective on the world, that's totally fine. But this is what I'm saying. Hey, religion can be good for you, even if you don't believe in God or an afterlife, and your life will be better if you follow religious philosophical virtue principles. So as an example, studying the Nicomachean ethics, like the 11 virtues that we talked about, you know, courage, temperance, liberality, magnificence, magnanimity, ambition, truthfulness, wittiness, friendliness, modesty, righteous indignation. If you actually pursue these things or think about these things, I think you're going to be better off. Same thing with biblical masculinity. Be somebody who's tough enough to fight predators, resourceful enough to survive the wilds, but capable of nurturing and defending the vulnerable. These are things that, like, these aren't accidents, right? You don't become a virtuous person on accident. You think about what makes a good person, and then you try to pursue those things. Like lived Christianity, voluntary upward self-sacrifice in order to build the kingdom of heaven on earth. You could just say voluntary upward self-sacrifice in order to make the world a better place. And so, like, these virtues, vices, hedonism, nihilism, stoicism, virtue ethics, all this shit is just like kind of swimming in this cultural soup that we're in the Western world, but you don't become a good person on accident. As a matter of fact, I don't even know if I would classify myself as a good person. I might not be a good person intrinsically. I think I'm a bad person who is trying to be a good person. And so that being a bad person who's trying to be a good person is better than most people. Most people who are bad people, who are ignorant to their own badness, or they don't care, or they revel in their badness. So I think being a bad person who's trying to do good is already a step in the right direction. But you have to believe in good and bad in the first place. Then you have to believe that it's worthwhile to be good, even if you're not going to be specifically rewarded for it immediately. And those are like two leaps of faith that not everybody is willing to take. And yet we see people, we all have friends who are either staring into the abyss or jump into the abyss, and they suffer as a result. And so I think that even if you change this speech bubble to whatever is more pertinent to you, what I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to be this person for your friends, be this person for your community, be the kind of person who you're not going to jump into the abyss in order to save somebody. You're not going to destroy yourself in order to save your friends, but you are the kind of person who is, number one, trying to talk them out of jumping into the abyss in the first place. And number two, you're the kind of person who would rejoice. You would be ecstatic. Let's say that somebody jumps into the abyss and they are a horrible piece of shit, and you exhausted all of your ability in order to try to encourage them to be a bad person, but you planted a few seeds that then become something later on in their life, and they jump out of the abyss. Even if you're not a part of that process, even if you're not a part of their lives anymore, but you see it from the periphery, then you should rejoice that they are no longer a piece of shit and they are trying to be a good person. So yeah, this is like fundamental to Christianity. I think it's fundamental to good morality. I think it's fundamental to what makes human life worth living. And yeah, so I would say Steven doesn't even think he's staring into the abyss. He thinks the abyss is filled with BPD e-girl wussy, right? That's what he thinks. He thinks down here is a party. That's what he thinks. But, you know, all I think we can do is we can gently encourage him. That's all we can do. That's all we can do. I'm going to check in with chat before we start the next segment because I parasocially love you guys. Thank you to the 135 people who are hanging out in the stream. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chats, super chats if you got them, memberships if you got them. We did have a phenomenal month last month. We had a phenomenal month this month. I seriously cannot thank you guys enough for the amount of support. If you're an oiler and you've already oiled, I don't need your oil. You have oiled enough. You oiled last night. You oiled yesterday. You oiled the day before. You oiled on Monday. You oiled the entire month. Seriously, thank you. Thank you to Patriarch. Thank you to Grassroots Hegemon. Thank you to Christian Valeris. Thank you to Dr. Zayas. Thank you to Gen X. Thank you to Numinax. Thank you to I'm trying to think of who else has donated, but seriously, you guys have been phenomenal. Thank you to Anonymous Chatter. Anonymous Chatter has oiled plenty of times. Fast and Bulbous has super chatted plenty of times. Seriously, thank you guys. The content would not be possible without you. And even though we're a small community, you guys disproportionately reward me with your viewership, and you also disproportionately reward me with your money. And as a result, I'm able to keep this job. And so seriously, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you've oiled, you don't need to oil more this month. And if you have a few dollars burning a hole in your pocket, but you need to pay your bills first. And if you have $5 or $10, throw it my way. But just know that you guys have already been super kind. and I am genuinely grateful. Just checking in with chat before we move on. Starhawk says, this is silly. We all know he's effing Empathchan. Does anyone actually believe that they're just friends? Who cares? It's not even pertinent to my argument. My argument is that the criticism of Steven should not be whether or not he's friends with a Nazi. I don't care if he's friends with a Nazi. I think the criticism of Steven is that it's a professional liability to bring the Nazi around your Democrat friends when your Democratic friends are doing public professional events. And that if that had gone worse, let's say that had gone up on an Unfuck America live stream where Steven's friend was yelling N-word F slur on a Unfuck America live stream, then that would have been horrible. And it would have reflected poorly on Steven, and it would have reflected poorly on Unfuck America for having Steven, who in turn brought a professional liability to Unfuck America. Officer Nasty says, yo, you missed it, Connor. Listen, man, if he wants a friend, I'll be more of a friend to him. I was actually wondering that with the food shops thing. Is he just hanging out with food shops because, you know, he's bored and he wants to hang out with more people? I don't know. Dank Brandon says, I watched a couple of minutes of the video where they had restream due to tech issues and Rob went nuts on the mod and I just turned it off. Yeah. Rob, for Andrew Wilson saying that Rob is one of the best debaters in the world, he oftentimes has dog shit points. Batusui, a.k.a. Batusui, Batusai. Destiny is just telling people they don't know the dynamics of his relationships and thinks it's above him to have to explain the dynamics and doesn't want to defend his actions, which is fine. He can keep his private shit private, but realistically, when your public shit keeps blowing up all the time, then people are going to dig into it, right? Black criminals might be largely apolitical as well and therefore can't be associated with the political party. That's why I think that point is so fucking stupid, which is part of the reason why I don't want to watch it as content. Voided Parrot says specifically black crime. Yeah, he's talking about the Rob Noor debate. Rob Noor brought up disproportionate black criminality as a reason why the left is more violent than the right, which is obviously a cringe and stupid talking point that doesn't even make fucking sense. Fast and Bulbous says, bro is in the abyss with Badolf Klittler and Joseph Stalin. AKA Batusai says, the abyss is a party, but don't make it your life. True. Mr. Feeney says, I think it would be so great if Destiny would stop associating with unhinged people. His political stuff would be in an entirely different realm if regular people didn't have to keep him at arm's length. Probably. Sacred Snow says, petition to start calling the Oilers diddlers because they seem to have a lot of oil. What? No. Rejected. Mom, can I have some money for some CP? No. Keycode says, let's unfuck America by inviting a schizo Nazi. That will get us to our goal. Right. AKA Batusai says, Connor, that's like saying you can have the worst types of friends, but don't bring them around your political rallies. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Starhawk says, I agree. It's not particularly relevant if he's doinking her or not. I just think it's funny he's pretending otherwise. Who cares? Yeah. I'm with you. If I had to put dollars to donuts, I would put it at like 60, 40, 70, 30 that they did hook up, but I don't give a fuck. I don't think it's relevant. Mr. Feedy says, I cannot watch Rob Noor or Andrew Wilson. Rob has stupid takes and Andrew Wilson just finds ways to debate the words and not the actual topic. Yeah, I do find that there's a lot of pedantry going on with those debates, but that's okay. The accent kills me every time. Good. But by the time we're done with this, guys, if I stream for the next decade, you understand I'm in my late 30s. So I could technically, as long as my brain stays relatively sane and YouTube and live streaming and creating political content is still a thing, I could be doing this for decades. And as a result, we could get so many different members of the community who are all from different parts of the globe or have names that are from different parts of the globe. And I could have a racist pronunciation for so many different names. We don't, arigato gozaimasu, hashimashite, akimashite, batusai. Like we could have so many racist pronunciations of various people's names. What did I say about making me laugh? My apologies. I tried to send a super chat that said, oil me daddy, and they didn't let me. Good. All right. Let's introduce the next segment and let's get cracking. I probably will have to use the restroom momentarily, but that's not your problem. Let me get Mr. Brian Shapiro on here, and then I might go back and watch the Brian Shapiro debate, but we got 40 minutes right here of content, and I think you guys know me. I love to yap. I could probably turn that into an hour or two, so that's fine. So let's do that. Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd. A Marine Corps and law for. Sorry, let's try that again. Got tongue-tied. Hi guys, welcome to Counterpoints. My name's Connor. I'm a science fiction, politics, and philosophy nerd, a Marine Corps and law enforcement veteran, and I would argue a real Republican, meaning that I have real Republican values. I'm going to be watching Mr. Brian Shapiro debating Tim Pool on whether or not Charlie Kirk is a good or a bad guy after he was assassinated, and also Brian Shapiro, quote-unquote, destroying Tim Pool's Trump defense. So Brian Shapiro is apparently a liberal guy who's a part of Unfuck America. That's a political tour that's going on right now. And then not just that, but he runs a successful radio show out of Las Vegas. So I'm curious to see how this content goes. Let's see if Mr. Shapiro is as charismatic, charming, and interesting as the titles would suggest.
The husband, I despise a lot of the things he said. I thought he spread a lot of bad things.
Like what?
Okay, let's start off with Paul Pelosi. Okay, so, and I've watched this video extensively, and listen, he called out what happened to Paul Pelosi, the bludgeoned with a hammer, right? Yes. He said, oh, that was horrible what happened to him. But then with a smile on his face, this was like a day or two after. And by the way, Paul Pelosi almost was killed. Okay, the guy's in jail right now. He said he would call one of his listeners a hero if someone put up the bail for this guy. He said it with a smirk on his face, and let's ask him some questions. He said it with a smile on his face. That would be like me going on the air, which, by the way, I would never do, and say,
Sven Patty says, Connor said, guys, spread this to your friends so I can be more racist. Indeed.
hey, let's raise some money for Tyler Robinson, and let's ask him some questions. And if you raise money for Tyler Robinson and get him out of prison on bail, you're a hero. Tim, that is despicable. I am not a Nancy Pelosi fan. I'm not a Paul Pelosi fan. The guy almost died. Okay?
Hans Mayer says the way he pronounces my name is hella racist. Are you sure? Hans? I do think I do throw out a German accent every now and then.
I played the clip. You could play it for yourself. I think it's despicable.
Yeah, we should play it.
Well, and Brian, real quick, I mean, you're saying that you just disagree with things he said, but
Sure.
On October 30th, you said he's worse than garbage.
Yeah, I thought Charlie Kirk was garbage. I stand by that statement. And I'll give you reasons why.
On July 7th, you said you hated him.
Yeah.
I don't believe you that you just disagreed with things he said. That sounds like you.
Okay, wait, hold on a second.
I'll happily answer that. I'll defend everything that I've said about.
Now, I'm not going to outright defend every component of what Kirk said, but there is a little bit more context.
Yeah, I know there's context.
Charlie Kirk was saying so this is in the context of not knowing why the attacker did it. The speculation from a lot of people was that there was some illicit activity going on with the Pelosi's.
Which was not true.
It didn't make sense that they didn't have proper security. Mm-hmm. Who was this weird guy? Charlie Kirk said, bail him out and ask him some questions.
The guy almost died. Now, listen, let me be clear.
Let me give you contemporary context matters.
You could do a 2-hour podcast, and in 99% of that podcast, you can call out what happened to Paul Pelosi. But with a smile on your face, if you call somebody a hero for bailing a guy out who almost killed somebody,
I mean, I'm looking at Politico.com.
Like
I'm looking at the New York Times.
I hate that.
I'm looking
It's
at
hard
all
to
these
believe.
places, and
Let's watch the clip. Relax. Good Lord.
there's a little bit of mention here. For example, Politico says top Republicans reject any link between GOP rhetoric and Paul Pelosi assault. Of course you should reject any link. Why is the Republican Party, why is the conservative movement to blame for gay schizophrenic nudists that are hemp jewelry makers breaking into somebody's home, or maybe not breaking into somebody's home? Why are we to blame for that exactly?
See, I got to pause real quick.
So right there, and by the way, like, I don't really give a shit. This obviously doesn't mean that Charlie Kirk should have been shot. It just means he's kind of a piece of shit, right? They don't know the details, and yet he's insinuating that Paul Pelosi was in a homosexual relationship with the guy who bashed his head in with a hammer. And he acknowledges the narrative that it's a nudist hemp jewelry maker or whatever who got into their house and bashed Paul Pelosi's skull in. But then he implies that they were in a homosexual relationship. So yeah, I wouldn't, if I was engaged in this level of shit talking, I should talk Hassan Piker a lot. I think he's a terrible person. I think he's a terrorist apologist. I think he's a fucking asshole. If people pulled up all the clips of the times that I was talking shit about Hassan Piker, and then they played that on Twitter after I was assassinated, I would not expect the far left to mourn my passing. Let's put it that way. I don't think that they would think I was a good guy. I think that they would think I was an apologist for American empire. I think they would think I was an apologist for the military-industrial complex. I think that they would think I was an apologist for Israel and for the United States federal government. And to some degree, I am. I think that I criticize these institutions honestly, but I do think that in general, I do defend the existence of the state of Israel. I do defend the existence of the federal government. I do defend the existence and some of the operations of the CIA. I do defend the military-industrial complex. So if you thought that I was a piece of shit for doing that, fair's fair. So what is the context of this debate? Are they trying to moral frog Brian Shapiro for thinking Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit? Can they not see why he would think Charlie Kirk was a piece of shit?
That's not the clip that I was talking about, but yeah, go ahead.
Contemporary, there's more. It's
gotcha.
another minute.
I got you.
The contemporary context is what's important. We cannot look back after already knowing the details you know and scoff at a comment made at a time when we didn't know.
Okay, but here's what I will say to
And
that.
why is he still in?
Yeah, you can. He's implying that he had a homosexual affair, which is why his skull was cracked open. That's kind of a shitty move, don't you think?
Jail? Why has he not been bailed out? By the way, if some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco or the Bay Area wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. I bet his bail's like $30,000 or $40,000. Bail him out and then go ask him some questions.
It's not a hero, Tim.
No matter what his bail is, they're going after him with attempted murder, political assassination, all this sort of stuff. I'm not qualifying it. I think it's awful. It's not right. But why is it that in Chicago you're able to commit murder and be out the next day? Why is it that you're able to trespass?
Is that even true? What the fuck is he talking about?
Second-degree murder, arson, threat of public official, cashless bail. This happens all over San Francisco. But if you go after the Pelosi's,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's not
true.
So
the full context is whether he's right or wrong.
He was wrong. Attempted murder, he's wrong.
He's making an argument that in these jurisdictions, they tend to revolving door a lot of these criminals, but not the guy who attacked Paul Pelosi. And he's making 2 points as it pertains to a midterm hero who would bail him out. And that is show Democrats this is what you do, and also ask him questions, because at the time they didn't know if this guy was like buying drugs or something.
I understand what you're saying. But the point that I'm just trying to make here, and I can give you many of other examples, the day after somebody is almost killed with a hammer, you can have a conversation about, well, geez, why are these people not getting bailed out and why are these people getting bail? To call somebody a hero or a patriot.
A midterm hero.
Yeah. He also a patriot. Just like, you know,
I think they'd be a patriot because
ridiculous.
They would be able to ask this guy questions, which got information, which then affected the midterms.
Don't you think it'd be a little bit more prevalent for law enforcement to ask him questions than somebody who bails him out? It's ridiculous.
It's immaterial. I give Charlie Kirk's statement here a D-.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I don't think it was a good thing to say, but I understand the greater context of what he was saying.
It might not emotionally feel like that's a concession, but verbally it is. You know, obviously all the conservatives are trying to sweep as hard as they can. But, you know, Tim's at least saying the right thing, which is this is a shitty statement. I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Like the stream, share it with your friends, engage with chat, super chats if you got them, membership if you got them. My parents still should love you. Thank you for being here. Let's go.
Albeit Charlie has had many statements where it's like, Charlie, you could have said that a lot better. If he came out, you shouldn't call someone a hero over this. It was very, very bad. At the time, we were all speculating as to what this actually could have been, because it was weird that the Pelosi's wouldn't have active security.
Did Matt Gaetz or Ted Cruz apologize when they tweeted out that it was some sort of gay, retweeted and tweeted out that it was a gay relationship?
Look, if you want to nitpick every time someone posted some silly nonsense,
let's call it all out. It's wrong. But why don't they apologize for it? Why don't they retract? They never apologize.
Because it's a war.
That's not a legitimate excuse.
It's not an
terrorist
excuse.
attack in New Orleans.
Fact.
The terrorist attack in New Orleans. We were being told that it was an undocumented immigrant.
No one's excusing. The fact of the matter is,
why can't people apologize?
Two factions are trying to rip each other to shreds, and you're not going to convince people on the right to apologize when the left doesn't apologize either.
I disagree with you.
The left is not going to apologize, bro.
Okay, I can give you many examples of the left.
And I can give you many examples of the right apologizing.
When's Donald Trump apologized for something?
Donald Trump?
Yeah. He's the leader of the Republican Party.
Singular. When has Obama apologized for the drone strikes?
Well, that's your opinion.
No,
I'm talking about comments that you've made, and
we can easily pull up instances where the left and the right have apologized for things. As to each other, it is mostly, and this is the funny thing, because I always find myself in these positions where I'm like, yes, the right's not going to apologize, and leftists are like, the right. Oh, You are unable to step back from your position and see what's going on. I am telling you, the right is going to say nasty things about the left and never apologize for it, and the left is going to say nasty things about the right and never apologize for it.
Make it right.
Because indeed, it's not right. It doesn't matter. It's a war. Donald Trump going after Letitia James and Adam Schiff is not because he's like, I want retribution. It's because he's like, I'm at war with these people. He is going after them for I would say, tangible political effects that he wants to obtain. He's not like Adam Schiff's going to suffer. He's going, take Adam Schiff off the chessboard.
Okay, I understand, Tim. I understand what you're saying, but it goes back to my original question, which I disagree with you on, and if you could give me another example. Can you name me, and again, I'm sorry for the loss of your friend. I am a compassionate person. What happened to him is terrible, and I want to emphasize that over and over again. And by the way, any Democrat, anybody, I'm not talking about elected official, who has celebrated his death is despicable. And I've called that out on my show constantly. We need to call out political violence on both sides. It does happen on both sides. We had a guy go into a church in Michigan who was a huge Trump supporter who shot up a bunch of people. I'm just making
What was that one?
He went in there. He's a huge, staunch Trump supporter. He went in there and he shot a bunch of people. People are saying because he was anti-Christian. It was a Christian hate crime.
This was the Mormon, right?
I don't know what his religion was. I just know that he was a Trump supporter.
Right, but this was a Trump supporter indeed. Yeah. He had American flags. But the attack wasn't political.
But
yeah, this was the guy had a problem with individuals in the church.
Right.
He
was a Republican. He was a Trump.
That's not political violence.
Okay, well, listen.
But I also don't believe your full-throated condemnation when you said you hate him and you believe he's worse than garbage. I think Osama bin Laden was that, and I celebrated.
Okay, so there's
why
a
aren't you
difference.
celebrating?
Okay, I hate people that
he hates people. He admitted it. We got you.
He said he hates Charlie Kirk.
I don't hate Tim. I don't hate Tim because we're both two bald white brothers. I actually am enjoying.
AKA Batusai says, my sister-in-law was shot at more than 8 times in a car, and the perpetrator is currently out on bail for a year. What? So you'd have to give me more context, bro. What was is it pending trial? Is he out on bond? Is he was he convicted? Was he not convicted? You know, because there is a difference between, I'm not trying to excuse that. I think if you're accused of a violent crime and there's substantive evidence that you committed that violent crime, then obviously your bond should be revoked. But I'm curious as to the details. Bond is obviously separate from a conviction. So is he on probation or is he out on bail?
This conversation, but even though I've been called retarded, that's okay.
You can't do that. I'm mixed race. You can't. You're oppressing me.
Listen, I'm going to be very clear on this, okay? I hated Charlie Kirk.
I can tell.
Okay, now, it doesn't mean that I wanted him to be murdered. I want to be very clear on that. He was a father. He was a husband. My understanding, he was a good father, right? I hate the constant attacks on brown people, on gay people, on women who get abortions, calling them murderers, which, by the way, he's called time and time again, which I think is absurd. I don't like what he stood for. Now, I give him credit for building what he built with Turning Point USA. Quite an accomplishment, the following that he had. But I'm not going to celebrate his life. I would certainly never.
True. Dying doesn't make you a better person. Okay? That's one of the things that I think is natural. Like there's I think it's a medieval superstition. You don't speak ill of the dead. And I think it's like a judge not lest ye be judged kind of thing. I think it's probably rooted in like Christian principle of judge not lest ye be judged. And the same metric by which you judge other people is the metric by which you will be judged. However, I don't think that there's this like overwrought thing where somebody dies and then you can only highlight all the positive things that they ever did, and you can't really talk shit about the negative things that they did. I just don't think that's true. I think it is what it is. If Andrew Tate died tomorrow, I'd be like, fuck yeah, fuck that guy. Like if he overdosed on cocaine or fent or too many steroids, I don't think we're that lucky. But if he OD'd on drugs, I'd be like, yeah, good. The world's a better place. That guy was a rapist piece of shit. And he was a fucking monster who made national discourse worse. I would say that with my full fucking chest. And if somebody was like, wow, man, you're talking shit about shit about somebody who's dead. But like, yeah, fuck him. You know, his death doesn't make him a better person. So yeah, I think this is just descriptively accurate.
Celebrate his death. I can tell you, I hate Donald Trump.
Look.
I hate everything he stands for. Doesn't mean that I want him to be assassinated, because I don't. What happened to Charlie Kirk?
I don't want Trump to be assassinated, but I might celebrate his death.
Is terrible for the country. It's terrible. It's terrible what happened that day. I know people that were 10 feet away. It's awful. And I was emotional because I'm a human being and I have compassion for people. I can hate what somebody stands for and still have compassion for somebody.
I didn't have compassion for Osama bin Laden.
I'm not. You think I would compare? Hold on a second. That's ridiculous. You think I would compare Charlie Kirk to being a mass murderer and a terrorist?
He's worse than garbage.
Okay, saying somebody is worse than garbage is not saying that I think he's a terrorist that's responsible for murdering hundreds of that. That's a ridiculous.
Dude, worse than garbage is so fucking tepid. I can't even believe this guy is pearl clutching over it.
Let's move a little bit forward because we've got a few minutes left. And
Okay.
You brought up abortion.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your abortion position is.
Oh boy, we're another.
I know it's the hottest subject. It's like the.
I'm sorry for your loss, Kay. Kay lost one of her best friends to a drunk driver who caught 2 years. I am sorry about that. It's fucked up.
So here's my opinion, Tim. Okay, if it was like a 6 month or 4 month thing, I would be okay with that. I think it's reprehensible if there are women out there that are using abortion as birth control, but I don't want to tell a woman. I don't want to tell a woman what to do with her body. Okay, I don't want the government involved in telling women what to do with their bodies. I don't know what it's like to be pregnant. Yes, I can.
6 months is viable.
Okay, well maybe 4 months. I'd be okay with that as well. But especially in some states in this country, if you're the victim of incest or rape, you have to be forced to have that child. I find that to be reprehensible. And for the people out there that are so anti-abortion, and I don't call it pro-life, for the people out there that are anti-abortion, I ask you this question. How many people have you adopted? How many children have you adopted?
A lot, actually.
Okay, well, I know a lot of people that have not. And there are hundreds of thousands of kids right now, Tim, that are waiting to be adopted. Okay, if abortion is illegal across the country, what are we going to do with all those kids?
It's a responsibility thing too, though.
But this is hold on. This is not a real argument. This is like.
You think abortion's murder?
Well, so if we can adopt every kid,
hold on. The adoption thing is a meme. I think it's like a generality that's not correct. I think the highest rates of adoption are among pro-life religious families, like the
evangelicals, Catholics.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. And this is not a real argument by the numbers.
And also, if we were to have every child adopted, can we then ban abortion?
Listen, if you want to have 100,
how about that?
If you want to have 100 kids, Tim, wearing beanies, you're allowed to do that. And I would say have as many children as you like. But I don't like telling other people what to do. You can vote for you.
Yeah, this is where liberalism loses me. You guys say, "Oh, Connor, you're just a liberal. You're just a liberal. You're just a liberal." I have no problems telling other people what to do if they're doing something fucked up.
You can have an abortion. Listen, it's a very difficult thing for any woman to choose to do so. But I don't want to tell, just like I didn't want people to be forced to get the jab.
Abortion as contraception, you think should be allowed. Not good, but legal.
I think that's reprehensible. I'd also be okay with, limiting how many abortions somebody could have. Obviously, if somebody has 5 abortions,
we got a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for watching this clip from the Culture War podcast.
Hold on. So let's draw this out, okay? I would actually be curious how chat would react to this. So what pro-life people, abortion and the miracle of life occurs in stages, okay? And I think that somebody was arguing that there's developmental stages that are more complex than this. But let's say we got the egg and we got the sperm, okay? The sperm has fertilized the egg. Now, the argument from pro-life people is that pro-life, all of this is protected as a potential human being with moral worth. Or, I mean, not even potential. I don't even think they would put potential. I think they would just say it's a human being with moral worth. So, and oftentimes I hear that once an egg is fertilized, it actually has like a unique genetic signature. And as a result of that unique genetic signature, it should be protected because it has become an individual. All right, that is the pro-life argument. But I would argue that an egg and a sperm, a fertilized egg, probably doesn't have sentience. And then I think there's a stage in here where it's a zygote, effectively, And it might have the beginnings of arms, legs, hearts, brain, all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't have the capacity because the central nervous system is not fully developed. It doesn't have the capacity for pain. And there's probably an intermediate part. There's an intermediate step in here. All right. And then, sorry if my baby drawings are silly, but we are going to get some babies. Babies! So, boom. Sorry, I'm just drawing babies. Babies. Okay. And let's assume that this is all like in utero, okay? So and then what I would say is abortion extremists, in my opinion, say, oh, sorry, 1 second. Let me get here. Boom. I would say pro-choice extremists say that no matter the stage of development, the woman is of greater moral consideration and therefore can do as she pleases with the fetus. All right. I would say that pro-choice extremists say that, and then therefore they argue that you could do an abortion at any stage of development for any reason. And we've actually legislated that, okay? My abortion centrism, which nobody seems to like, and I'll draw it probably here, I suppose. Abortion centrist. My abortion centrism is that once a capacity for pain / proto-consciousness is formed, that should be protected as a new human life, and the potential human life also has moral worth, but that should be cultural, not legal. And I'll explain that momentarily. So hold on. So this is where I'm accusing, no offense to anybody who shares the opinion with Mr. Shapiro, but with Mr. Shapiro, in my opinion, he's kind of like a moral coward, because he's saying like, oh, well, it's not for me to decide. And it's like, okay, well, do you think murder is bad? And it's like, yeah. It's like, okay, well, then obviously, like, you do decide some moral decisions. So why should you not contemplate and come to a moral conclusion about abortion? Is it because it's complex? Is it because you don't have a uterus? Are you not able to talk about murder because you haven't killed somebody before? Are you not able to talk about theft because you haven't, stolen before? I think that's very silly. Like it's a very silly and lazy, in my opinion, moral argument to be like, oh, well, I don't have a uterus, therefore I can't have an opinion. I think that's pretty fucking stupid. But anyways, so this is where I would say I'm an abortion centrist. If a fertilized egg is aborted or miscarried, do I think that is going to be like the most like morally weighted decision that's ever existed ever? Probably not, right? It's probably, we have all sorts of murder, genocide, rape, slaughter, theft, disease, death. We have all sorts of fucked up shit. So I think if like a fertilized egg gets either aborted or, aborted or miscarried, then that's not going to do anything. But there's something in here where at the prototypical, I think it's around 18 weeks, somebody was saying that this entire situation is more nuanced than I give it credit for. But listen, I'm just trying to give you my hip shot analysis. When there is a frontal lobe that is capable of proto-consciousness, and there is a central nervous system capable of feeling pain, obviously like a fetus doesn't have memory, but I think that at that point, it's worthy of moral consideration as a living being. And then especially as you get into later stages of development, these things, if it can survive outside of the womb, you know, once you hit that 22-week threshold, in my opinion, that's a baby. And that's like deserving of legal and moral protection, especially if there isn't rape, incest, or horrible genetic defect or horrible health outcomes for the mother or for the baby. Then at that point, I think it's worthy of moral protection and moral and legal protection. And then not just that, even with rape and incest, I don't know if I would make a rape or incest exception past the point of viability. I think once you hit 22 weeks, that's a different person. And even if they're the product of rape or incest, I think at 22 weeks, once they are viable, you just got to go to term. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm gonna check in with chat and see what their thing is. Connor solves the abortion issue. That's what we'll call this one. Connor solves the abortion issue. Let me see what you guys said. Purple Flex Steve says, dehumanizing language, it always leads to violence in the end. Calling people trash suggests there cannot be any redemption. Maybe you could call them recycling. It's funny, and I'm tired of pretending it's not true. It's just obvious says, I don't like telling people what to do. Okay, no laws then. I know, right? What a pussy, right? Christian Blair says, I'm good with 18 to 20 weeks, probably. Okay. Ryan Pell says, not going to lie, Connor streaming when he does is perfect for me and my office days, based. Kyle says, pro-choice is better than pro-life. Well, I would say the pro-choice extremists that say that you can have an elective abortion at any stage of development without any health complications related to the mother. Like, obviously, pregnancy is intense. Obviously, just having a pregnancy is a biological, physical risk in and of itself. But if there is a, by all accounts, healthy pregnancy, I don't think that elective abortion up to delivery is a sane position. I think that's infanticide. I think that's just killing a baby, which kind of makes you a piece of shit. People who are against authority and principle are truly liberal. It's so anti-human. True. Unique genetic argument. Sorry. I'm getting tongue-tied. Unique genetic signature is our sort of argumentation. I mean, I agree. I'm just saying that that's an argument. Mr. Batusui, Batusai, Batusai says it's like a train on track that's going to go up to a final location that needs stops and resupplies. Sure. Purple Flex says, if you had a religious perspective, you might call it an incarnating of the soul. Yeah. Yep. And that might actually be part of the religious component, which I think is not really provable. The religious component would be that the second that you have a fertilized egg, the bioelectrical energy that is within there, that's where the soul is, breathed in. And I think that in the Old Testament and in Islam, they talk about like the breath, or they talk about a certain amount of weeks. I forget what the fuck they talk about, but Fast and Bulbous says, I'll skip commenting on the subject because I know for a fact my opinions wouldn't be welcome. Well, thank you for being conscientious of me getting triggered. Evan says, consciousness supposedly happens around 20 to 22 weeks. Most abortions, 92 to 93% are done at 13 weeks, and 99% are done by 21 weeks. I'm an 18 to 20 week kind of guy. Cool. Scrolling through, nobody's really spurging out or giving me this. Counterpoints is top 5. Excellent. I don't really think that I'm seeing a lot of pushback. I'm not seeing a lot of pushback, which I guess is good. Anonymous chatter says, what do you think the timeline is for abortion for genetic defects? I think 9 months is too late for those. I think it as a parent sparing their child suffering. See, anonymous chatter, that's like where we're, of course, going to have to evaluate it. So, for instance, like Down syndrome kids, I think Sweden or Norway, I forget who it is, but there's some Nordic country that has eliminated Down syndrome because they tested for it and they eliminated Down syndrome from their population through eugenics. What's interesting about that is Down syndrome people, I'm pretty sure, are like some of the happiest human beings alive. Let's take it. Let's see if there's any happiness. Down syndrome happiness statistics. Studies show a high level of happiness among individuals with Down syndrome, with nearly 99% reported they are happy with their lives in one survey. It is a misconception that people with Down syndrome are always happy. They experience a full range of emotions like anyone else, but they often report high life satisfaction and a positive outlook on life. Their happiness is influenced by factors like environment, health, and relationships, not just genetics. So I don't think like we should just be like, oh, you got Down syndrome, abortion, lol. Like, no, like Down syndrome people are cool and they're happy and they're probably having more fun than us. I hate to use such like a vulgar argument in such a serious topic, but have you ever seen the Shane Gillis stand-up bit about people with Down syndrome, where he's like, you can always tell who's been around people with Down syndrome because they're always wondering if there's something wrong with them, and they're like, oh, are they okay? And then Shane Gillis's response is like, yeah, they're doing great. As a matter of fact, they're doing better than anybody else I know. All of us are addicted to ADD medication and anti-anxiety meds, whereas people who have Down syndrome are addicted to Capri Suns. They're pretty much the only people I know who are having a good time. That's brilliant. Like, dude, if they don't have consciousness, if it's before, the 18 to 20 week level that we're talking about, then maybe I think it could be like legally permissible. However, I think it would be morally impermissible once you get past the central nervous system, prefrontal cortex development stage. And then I don't know if Down syndrome is enough to abort. Now, Tay-Sachs, on the other hand, Tay-Sachs disease. I'm pretty sure Tay-Sachs is a rare inherited genetic disorder that affects the brain and nervous system. It causes a mutation in the hexa gene, which leads to the accumulation of a fatty substance called GM2. They have developmental delays, seizures, loss of muscle control, blindness, deafness, cherry red spots on the retinas, difficulty swallowing. And so for Tay-Sachs, if you found out that a baby had Tay-Sachs before they were basically going to be like a vegetable their entire life, like a suffering vegetable their entire life, and you got to it before 22 weeks or whatever, or 18 to 20 weeks, that I think is morally defensible. So anyways, nobody likes killing kids except for some freaks amongst us. But yeah, like I think we could evaluate genetic disorders is what I'm saying. I can roll R's now, base. Andre says, sorry, I'm just going to respond to you guys real quick before we move into the next breakdown. Andre says, in the EU, we have elective abortion up until 3 months and health-related until 6, then up to delivery for life and death scenarios. I think that's probably good because 3 months is 4 weeks in a month, so that's 12 weeks for elective, which is even stricter than I want. Health-related up until 6 months, 6 times 4 is 24, and then delivery for life and death scenarios. That actually seems incredibly centrist. MG says rape or incest shouldn't matter either. It's a human being worthy of protection or not. The baby never raped or rucked its relative. Lol. As I said before, somewhere in the middle, I feel the cutoff point. Okay, well, tell me if you want to do it more early. Kay says, but hold on, sorry. Can't you just allow doctors and women to make that decision? In Canada, it's legal and it's still exceedingly rare with less than 20 a year on average. What, for late term elective? No, I'm not gonna permit late term elective. Kay says, and because it's legal, we don't end up with moms dying by accidents. Anyways, just my opinion. So I know this is a sensitive topic, so I'll probably just move on just because I know that people are going to get sensitive about it. But what I would say is, if the fetus is viable and if the mother is having an otherwise healthy pregnancy and we're past the seat of consciousness / development of the central nervous system, I think that should be illegal because I would view that as infanticide. So no, I don't want to leave that just legal and up to the mother if that's your thing. Fast and Bulba says they're not happy. That's just the way they look. God, I hate you. Oh, really? That's funny. That's funny. A lot of Down syndrome people get depression once they get older. At most don't get old, though. Okay, well, still. Where did you get the grilled cheese from, Uncle Danny? Exactly. Anonymous Chatter says, I was talking more about the hyperglycemia vera that my nephew had. He had consciousness but suffered seizures constantly until death at 2 weeks was a year ago. I think sparing him that. Yeah. Yep. I'm with you there. But we shouldn't. Neurotypical people shouldn't be able to determine whether or not neurodivergent people get to exist or not. That's Nazi shit. Well, then, Harmonic, I actually have a question for you. And I get that it's getting sensitive, so we will move on momentarily. How do you feel about CRISPR? So, for instance, let's say that you could gene edit a baby, and there were genetic predisposing factors for autism or Down syndrome or anything like that, or Tay-Sachs, or that issue with seizures. What would you say to gene editing a fetus? Because the fetus isn't going to know the difference. The fetus would just have changed genetics, and then it would function. It would function the way that it was designed to. I'm pretty pro CRISPR. I'm pretty pro CRISPR. So mostly because I want to design Space Marines, but it is what it is. Conservative liberalism says not allowing incest exception seems wild. A father who had been raping his daughter and she finally hits puberty, producing a child, shouldn't be forced to carry that at such a young age. Conservative liberalism, I understand you, but I think it's a moral balance. If you're talking about 22 weeks with viability and the seat of consciousness and central nervous system development, if the fetus is healthy, the fetus didn't commit the crime of incest. The fetus is innocent. And at that point, in my opinion, it's a baby. Connor, imagine if we allowed abortions, we wouldn't have Shane Gillis. Exactly. All right. Anyways, let's move into the next one. But Grassroots says, knew a guy who had 7 DUIs and was out the next day until he killed 2 people. Sorry for your loss. Yep. DUIs are not funny. They're not cool. All right, let's move into the next little bit. This is going to be Brian Shapiro destroys Tim Pool's Trump defense. I'm going to be curious about this because I feel like, in my opinion, Tim has worn out his welcome, in my opinion, with the whole I'm a liberal, but he's exhausted that argument. He's a Trump devotion syndrome sufferer. So if Brian Shapiro, a lib cuck, is going to call him out to his face, I am down to see how that works.
We're both 2 bald white brothers. I actually am enjoying this conversation, but even though I've been called retarded, that's okay.
You can't do that. I'm mixed race. You can't. You're oppressing me. For the same reason that people probably support Obama murdering children. The issue is
about Kamala. Name me one thing that Kamala Harris has done in her life.
Let's slow down and say.
Wait, what? Who?
You can't do that. I'm mixed race. You can't. You're oppressing me. For the same reason that people probably support Obama murdering children.
Is he talking about Anwar al-Awlaki's son and or the drone program? Like Donald Trump isn't fucking drone striking Caribbean boats right now as we speak. Like Donald Trump in his first term wasn't drone striking the fuck out of Middle East and North Africa. God, dude. All right, let's not get triggered.
The issue about Kamala. Name me one thing that Kamala Harris has done in her life.
Let's slow down and say the issue at hand is. We always call this the lesser of 2 evils. And we could take a look at Donald Trump being slovenly and perverted and whatever you want to call him.
A pedophile? Somebody who raped 14 to 17-year-old girls in the 80s, 90s, and 1000s and or slash $10 billion out of the budget that is projected to kill between 3 and 14 million people over the next 5 years? We could do that, Tim. We could do that.
And these are bad things. And I'm like, wow, this is why I didn't vote for him in 2016. And then you can take a look at what else you're up against. And you've got Joe Biden, warmongering crony who sold out this country to his brother for Iraqi contracts. And
so rich right now, considering that Trump is selling international influence via meme coins and has doubled his net worth via crypto. Dude. The hypocrisy. And by the way, I'm perfectly fine. You guys know me. I don't like Hunter Biden. I don't like the nepotism. I don't like the cronyism. I don't like the corruption. You guys know me. I'm like Hunter Biden's biggest critic. But you think that, dude, I'm happy I wasn't here for this debate. If Tim Pool brought up the Biden crime family in front of me, I don't even know if I'd be able to argue. I might actually just have a stroke and die on Timcast.
Of the big guy, and the list goes on. You can take a look at the extension of the Obama administration, where Obama killed tons of children. He has the record for most children murdered by a Nobel Peace Prize holder, and most notably was the extrajudicial assassinations of Anwar al-Awlaki and Abdulrahman al-Awlaki. Now,
and fuck Anwar al-Awlaki and fucked Abdulrahman al-Awlaki. Okay, so number one, Anwar al-Awlaki was an American imam who I think he immigrated here from somewhere in the Middle East, North Africa, but I think he was a citizen. And he originally was like a pacifistic preacher in reference to 9/11. But after the invasion of Iraq, he actually became a propagandist for Al-Qaeda. And then he was killed in an American drone strike. And then his son, who I think was like 15 or 16 at the time, was running around with his Al-Qaeda bros looking for his dad. And the drone strike that killed Anwar al-Awlaki's son was targeting another jihadist terrorist. So for me, yeah, kids dying, fucking sucks, okay? Part of war, it happens, it fucking sucks. Not denying that. But what I'm saying is, if we're going to rob this conversation of all context, like showing that these people were active participants in terrorist organizations, you're not actually bringing up this talking point because you care about due process for citizens. If I talk to this motherfucker about Kilmar Abrego Garcia, is Tim suddenly going to become super concerned about due process? Is he going to be like, oh, damn, oh my God, they violated his due process rights? Or is he going to start sweeping for the Trump admin? I guarantee you he's going to start sweeping for the Trump admin. So this shit just, number one, it's going to give me a stroke. Number two, it just doesn't land for me.
You can make the arguments about Anwar al-Awlaki being a jihadi, but he was an American and we have due process. But then you get Abdulrahman al-Awlaki, who was a 16-year-old American citizen who was at a civilian restaurant in Yemen, and Obama blew him up. And when Obama was asked about it, he said, oops. And so they come to me and say, Trump's a pimp.
Because they were targeting an adult Al-Qaeda member who Abdulrahman al-Awlaki was hanging out with. So he was collateral damage to a drone strike.
And I'm like, yeah, you got that right.
So first of all,
and then I've got to choose.
Does Tim Pool only care about American citizens who are killed by drones, or does he also care about like Afghan and Syrian and Iraqi civilians killed by drones?
I'm voting for on this one, and I'm going to tell you, you know what? They all suck.
Well, Trump didn't run against Barack Obama, and I didn't vote for Barack Obama.
Biden,
I'm not here to.
It's just Avi for $5 says, you ever considered talking about geopolitics as a segment or for stream? What's your thoughts on the ramp up in Venezuela or the Argentinian bailout? Yeah, we used to do geopolitics all the time. And what I mean by that is we would have a conversation about this. I would bust open Google Maps and I would go on 20-minute extemporaneous rants about various geopolitical current events and history. So yeah, I think the news just has to go towards geopolitical shit. So yes, but not right now.
Defend Barack Obama.
No, I'm talking about
Donald Trump because you support Donald Trump.
Indeed, and
you're okay with supporting a pig who probably sexually abused a lot of people, who was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on, man. Arigato gozaimasu. Akimashite. AKA Wadusai. Bro, the Republicans are free market. I don't think they care if Russia pays Tim to say the same shit he's already saying. So hold up. So why the fuck does Rob Knorr care if I work for PV as a never Trump Republican? Pretty clearly, he does care, right? So I don't believe that shit for a second. Number two, why would they care about the cronyism of Hunter Biden lobbying for foreign organizations like Chinese and Ukrainian energy companies? Isn't that part of the free market? Isn't it just lobbying? Isn't it something that Hunter Biden, perceivably could be interested in just through natural interest? Maybe Hunter Biden just really loves energy. Maybe he just really loves natural gas. Maybe he just loves it. And it's his God-given right as a free American to express his interest in Ukrainian and Chinese natural gas. If that argument was true, nobody should, if what you said was true, nobody should give a fuck about Hunter Biden at all, ever. And nobody should care about Russian or Chinese psychological operations. That is, aka Badasui. Arigato gozaimasu. Akimashite. Chisai chin chin. AKA Batusui. Batusai. That's a crazy fucking sentence. You just triggered the fuck out of me.
He was best friends.
Now you're making things up.
Found liable in a court of law for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. His own wife.
Play this game?
His own wife.
You don't want to play
a game.
You don't know. You don't know the facts of the case.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the 24 or 25 other women.
No, let's do the E. Jean Carroll thing.
Okay. So Barack.
Oh, hold on. Let's talk about the 24 or 25 other women. No. Let's talk about E. Jean Carroll specifically. Interesting.
Tell me what happened.
So hold on. Barack Obama's. I will.
No. You brought it up.
Barack Obama is a murderer, and yet he was never convicted. It never was shown in a court of law. Nothing ever proven. But you can make blatant statements, Tim.
I'm not retarded.
That Barack. Oh, I'm not retarded either. Okay. I'm a pretty smart guy.
When a court of law says a thing is true, that doesn't mean it's true.
Gotcha. So
it means it's more likely to be true. Neonick says, are you saying your morality says that Steven isn't making the best decisions he could, or are you saying he's making morally bad decisions and he is morally permissible realm for you? I think he's making morally bad decisions, but I think I've criticized him multiple times openly about those morally bad decisions. But my morality extends past legality. So for instance, like, if you're 15 to 25 years old and you're growing up and you're a little promiscuous when you're young, like if you date around, if you hook up with a few people or whatever, I'm not going to like come out of church and be like, you know, you're 19 years old and you've slept with 3 people. You're a piece of shit and you're going to hell. Like that's not what I'm going to do. I'm going to be like, hey man, sowing your wild oats can be fun, but realistically, you're going to pay a lot of social consequences for sowing your wild oats and you need to be careful. And you should not sleep with anybody with whom you are not prepared to have a child. Because there are not a whole bunch, but there's at least a few people that I know who had children with the wrong people. And their lives are drastically different as a result. I think that's the nicest way to put it. So I also think that 40-year-old men, this would extend to like Leonardo DiCaprio as well. I think that if you're dating somebody 18 to 25, I think you're kind of banking on the fact that they're socially underdeveloped. Now, are they adults? Yeah. Are they physically developed? Yeah. But are they immature as fuck and probably just learning the ropes about the world? Yeah. And so is it criticizable to sleep with people that age when you're substantively older? I think it's criticizable. Am I going to call law enforcement on you? Obviously not. Like, I don't give a shit. And on top of that, what I would do is I would turn around and I would victim blame the 18-year-old. And I'd be like, why are you having sex with a 50-year-old? What's wrong with you? Like, did your dad not give you enough hugs? What the fuck? You know? So anyways.
So unproven in a court of law, but Barack Obama's a murderer, and you're totally okay saying that. But Donald Trump never sexually abused anybody, even though liably found guilty in a court of law.
Let's slow down a minute. See, I'm
just asking you.
This is the issue with liberals. You don't know.
I'm not a liberal. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm a registered independent. You just called me a liberal. Let's be factually accurate, Tim.
The left.
Okay, I'm not the left.
You don't know.
I didn't vote for Obama. I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton.
You are left.
Okay, well, you can say that, and I can call you a hard MAGA right, but it doesn't mean that you're right.
Too. But there's clearly distinct factions in the culture war, and there's a left and a right, which defines the overall.
I don't like sexual abusers. I would never vote for somebody like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Well, you did.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so Donald Trump never sexually abused anybody.
Tell me
the 25 women lied. His own ex-wife in court documents in a deposition. She under oath. His ex-wife said that.
Do I speak Japanese? No. I said, arigato gozaimasu, which is thank you, which you should know that you know, you thank the cabbies when they're driving you around. I said akimashite, which I think I'm mispronouncing, by the way. It's so annoying. It's something that I actually hate about the Japanese, by the way. Akimashite, Japanese greeting. Akimashite. Akimashite. Happy New Year? No. No, that's not it. There's something. I think it's a greeting. Akimashite says to begin, to dawn. I don't know. Anyways, whenever you walk into a store and the retail clerks are Japanese women, they say something like that. Somebody can correct me in chat, but they go, akimashite. And it's so annoying and it's so shrill. But it's a very common word that's said. So, arigato gozaimasu is thank you. Akimashite is some kind of greeting, although I'm probably mispronouncing it and misspelling it in my Google search. And then Chisai Chin Chin. Chisai Chin Chin. Japanese meaning. I was told it was suck my piece. Chisai Chin Chin is small. Small penis. Oh, that's what it means. It means you have a small penis. Nice. Nice. Homeless people and Marines used to yell Chisai Chin Chin at each other. That's pretty funny. I thought I was saying suck my wang, but I was really saying you have a small wang. So, arigatou gozaimasu, akimashite, chisai chin chin, aka batusai.
He raped her.
You know your issue.
He went into teenage girls' locker rooms without their
bad
permission.
Things. Yeah, bad things.
Oh, that's just bad.
Those are real bad. Those are real bad.
Locking the keys in my car is a bad thing. That's despicable.
So tell me the case.
You have a daughter. Well, hold on a second. I just talked about going into
you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't?
You don't.
Donald Trump bragged about it on the Howard Stern show. Which case? E. Jean Carroll?
E. Jean Carroll.
So you want to go through the case.
You said proven in a court case. I said, tell me about it.
The jury found him liable.
You can't.
The jury found him liable.
You can't.
The jury did. They found him liable.
Okay, I'm gonna try this one more time. If you keep making non sequiturs,
it's not a non sequitur.
It is, because I asked you a question. You've ignored it.
I haven't ignored it.
What was the case?
I don't. So here's what I know about the.
Maybe that was it. Sorry, I want to find out this this annoying Arisha Shaimase meaning. Welcome. Maybe. I thought they were saying akimashite, but I could be wrong. It's just a thing that the staff yells when customers enter their store, whether they can see you or not. The bell. Yeah. Okay, so this is probably it. Sorry, just yelling Japanese.
The case. Okay, it's very simple.
Yeah.
Unlike Barack Obama, which you had mentioned he's a murderer, you don't want to talk about the fact that that's never been proven in a court of law. But
what does that have to do with what I asked you? Tell me about the E. Jean Carroll case.
Because a jury found him liable for sexual abuse. I don't have to know everything about the case.
No, you just present it
to you.
Oh, maybe that's it.
I believe in our justice system.
Let's do this.
I believe in our justice system.
Here's how I operate. I will hear a claim and I will fact check it.
Sure.
And try and dig through the facts to see if there's merit. You will believe what you're told.
So everything on the right when it comes to Donald Trump, there's no merit to it, even though he's a convicted 34-count felon. But those are made up.
And then you don't even know the crime.
I don't have to know the crime to know that a jury found him guilty in a court of law. You can disagree with the outcome.
You do.
I disagree with the OJ.
Nelson Mandela was a criminal too. He got locked up.
Hey, sometimes the
Nelson Mandela was a criminal. He was a part of a what is it, like a banned illegal political organization in South Africa. Legal and moral don't mean the same thing, which I think is part of Tim's point, by the way.
Justice system gets it wrong. I think we could agree on that.
So if you
not my type is a better defense than the glove doesn't fit, I think.
I think the question, you know what? We can just pause right here and say to everybody who's listening, I think my point is I can tell you the facts of these cases and why I have doubts, and you don't know anything about them.
So here's a fact. Donald Trump is a 34-count felon. You can disagree with it, but you can say incorrect till the cows come home. He wasn't sentenced, but he was convicted on 34 felony counts. Now you can disagree with that. Okay, you can disagree.
Name the crime.
That's fine.
Name the crime.
Wasn't it fraudulent business transactions?
I don't have to name the crime.
Yes, you do.
34-count felon.
You have to name the crime.
Okay, well, listen.
So again, I will say it to the audience. He doesn't even know what the charge was. He doesn't know who was accused of falsifying what.
I named you a few. I don't have all 34 charges in front of me, but it doesn't just because.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're redundant charges anyways. I'm pretty sure they're all the same thing. It's all like falsifying business records in the furtherance of an election.
I can't name the charges.
Wouldn't it be prudent of you to actually investigate these things before parroting them to a large audience?
I'm not parroting them. All I'm simply
saying. You can't even explain what your position is.
Just because, here's
what did Trump? Okay, let me try this. Let's slow down. Why?
I'm going to say, listen, man, I'm going to say this is part of the reason why Steven is a good debater. This is part of the reason why I consider myself not good, but above average, is because if you are going to run, if you're going to have a public platform, you absolutely should have a command of the facts. And so when it comes to E. Jean Carroll, okay, the accusation is that E. Jean Carroll was in some fancy department store. Donald Trump was there. He walked up, he flirted with her, whatever. She went into a changing room. Donald Trump followed her in and then allegedly digitally penetrated her without her consent. I think that's the E. Jean Carroll allegation. And then what happened was, 20, 30 years later, whatever, she sues him for this, especially when he's getting into politics. So the accusation is, oh, well, you've had all these years to sue me, but you didn't do it until I was politically viable. This is politically motivated. But what ended up happening during the lawsuit was they played the Trump, you can do whatever you want, you can grab them by the wussy thing. They also played Donald Trump's own deposition where he was just like ad hocking and talking about how like women, if you're rich or powerful, they want to hook up with you anyways. And overall, I think in a civil case, you only need a preponderance of evidence, which is like 51% 49. So you only have to say that this thing probably happened. And so Donald Trump was found civilly liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll, and she got like a multi-million dollar lawsuit. And I think she won partly on defamation as well, because he said that like, oh, this chick's crazy. But then they showed evidence for how they would have been within proximity to each other, running in the same social circles, running in this social circle, et cetera, et cetera. So I think E. Jean Carroll won, a lot of money off of defamation and alleged sexual assault. Now, when it comes to the 34 count felonies, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but the Trump the Trump business would often doctor business transactions in order to conceal stuff. And one of the things that they did is they concealed the payments to Stormy Daniels. So Stormy Daniels is a pornographic actress who allegedly had sex with Donald Trump in 2004 when his wife was pregnant. And Donald Trump didn't want to settle with her at all. He was actually hoping that he would be able to make it through the election without paying her a dime. But when the Hollywood Access tape dropped, where he was talking about grabbing women by the wussy, then he was like, okay, I probably need to pay her off, because if this hits right after the Hollywood tape, my election's done. And so what he did is he got, I think Cohen was his old lawyer. He got Cohen to buy the story from a tabloid, which in turn, I think, paid Stormy Daniels. And they used a whole bunch of like convoluted financial measures with which to buy the story. But that was technically a violation of a New York election law, where if you put in false business transactions in order to help actually, I think it's two separate laws. One of them is entering in a false business transaction, which I think is a misdemeanor. Then there's a felony enhancement where if you engage in any illegal behavior that helps somebody during an election campaign, then it becomes a felony enhancement. And so they use the felony enhancement in order to extend the statute of limitations. And then they did successfully convict Donald Trump of 34 fraudulent business transactions in the furtherance of his election campaign. And so that's like the whole story. So the story is that if it wasn't Donald Trump, if it wasn't a presidential election, if people didn't hate Trump so much, then the state level prosecutors would have never brought this case. But that has nothing to do with whether or not Trump is actually guilty of the crime. And then same thing with E. Jean Carroll. You can say, oh, well, E. Jean Carroll didn't have any physical evidence. She just had her testimony and some notes from some random therapist. Therefore, in a court of law, there's no way this ever would have been substantiated. And the jury was already biased to hate Donald Trump anyways, which is why we reached this verdict. Okay, that could still be true. But then when you add in, I don't know, 40 sworn written affidavits as a part of the Epstein case that are still currently barred, when we add in him being a friend of Jeffrey Epstein through the 80s, 90s, and the early thousands, when we add in the 2003 birthday letter, when we add in somebody's going to have to remind me of the name, but there's a YouTube video that you can watch of a specific woman who's a part of the Epstein case who effectively said like, oh yeah, I was 14 years old. I was sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein to New York, and I had, sex and blowjobs with Donald Trump and was raped by Donald Trump this time, and this time. And she's pretty graphic about the details. And so if there's that much smoke, how is there not fire? And so that's where, for me, like, Steven said the other day, like, nobody cares about the Epstein files. I still care about the Epstein files. I still care that Donald Trump is the spiritual leader of the Republican Party, and yet he's an ephebophilic rapist. I care about it. Nobody else has to care about it. I'll care about it. Anyways, I'm going to play this while I'm... excuse me. I'm going to play this while I check out you guys' chats.
What do you think Trump did wrong in that case?
He falsified... Well, if we're talking about E. Jean Carroll, he probably digitally penetrated a woman without her consent. And then if you're talking about the felony cases, he falsified business records in order to pay off a porn star in the furtherance of his election.
You're talking about E. Jean Carroll, or are you talking about...
No, the business records case. What did he do wrong?
Well, falsifying business records was what he was charged with.
No, what specifically did he do wrong?
What specifically?
What do you take
falsifying
issue
records?
With?
Falsifying records?
Which records? I'm asking you the specifics of what did you find that he did wrong?
Here's my point.
You don't have an answer for it?
I'm going to answer it for you.
Are you gonna give me a specific example, or are you going to change the subject again?
I'm not changing the subject. We're talking about this.
So what did Trump do wrong? Say Trump did thing. Tell me.
Okay. Here's the answer that I'm going to give you. I don't know all the ins and outs of this case.
Well, then why are we talking?
Here's what I do know. Regardless of what your opinions are on the case, and
Kyle says E. Jean Carroll also had the dress with Trump's DNA on it. Trump refused a DNA test. Whoa, I did not know that.
What you might think are valid that he didn't do anything wrong. What you might think are valid that he never sexually abused.
Neonic says, why do religious philosophical principles hold more weight than Rawlsian constructed ones? Probably because they're more popular. I know that's not going to be a satisfying answer for you, but they're more popular.
A woman. Here's the bottom line, whether you like it or not. A jury found him guilty on 34 counts that you obviously disagree with. Whether I know the ins and outs of the case is irrelevant.
Yep.
The fact of the matter is that he is a 34-count felon. The fact of the matter is that he's a liable sexual abuser. Liable.
Actually, so this is actually legally distinct. He
wasn't sentenced. I understand.
Therefore, he's not a felon.
I understand that.
There has to be the final.
I understand.
Right, so he's not a felon.
I've said that multiple times.
So we agree he's not a felon.
Okay. The reason why he wasn't sentenced is because he won the presidency.
Well, it's under appeal, actually, and it's been over a year since the appellate court was prepared to issue their ruling.
I'll tell you what,
done it.
If he wins his appeal, I will come on this show and I will say, Tim, I was wrong.
Well, no, right. Hold on. We agree, though. He's not yet a felon until he's sentenced.
He wasn't sentenced. I've said that multiple. I've said that multiple.
I don't even think that's true. So now is Tim lying? Because once you're convicted, you're convicted. I don't think the sentencing has anything to do with whether or not you were convicted. So that just feels like a lie.
Times. A jury convicted him on 34 felony counts.
Of what?
Again, there you go back again, trying to quiz me on what the.
Okay, here's my point.
That's the only point I
don't know why you're here.
I don't know what you mean.
We're not debating.
Okay, well,
a debate's like this. Donald Trump did a backflip, and here's why it was wrong. Well, actually, backflips have been long protected. I'm saying Donald Trump was accused of these specific things, and you say, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, then we're not having a debate.
No.
You're just saying I read in the news Trump was convicted. And I say, okay.
Okay, well.
It's important to drill down because then you can compare it to other similar situations and whether people have been charged by that. And then that's the way that you can suss out whether it was lawfare or something unusual.
Indeed, but even outside of that, it's that when an individual is convicted of a crime, it is prudent of a society to analyze whether or not this is a legitimate use of the judiciary of our legal system.
So you don't like people that accuse other people of things.
And the point I'm making is, I don't believe law dictates morality. I don't believe just because something is legal.
I think I literally said that earlier.
It is correct, and I don't blindly trust when an authority figure says, "Trust me, this person's bad." That's why I oppose the death penalty, because there's going to be some authority figure says, you don't need the facts of the case, kill this man. I'm going to say no. So in the issue of Donald Trump in New York, he was not actually legitimately charged under any crime, and it's unprecedented in U.S. history. Trump was charged under 34 counts of misdemeanor, falsification of business records with no underlying crime. They then said, okay, I guess, upgrade it to a felony. Everybody said, well, hold on a minute. This is why it's currently in appeal, because Trump was never actually charged with the underlying crime required for an aggravated charge. It's never happened before.
I don't think that's true. I think the falsification of the business record is the misdemeanor, but in order to hit the statute of limitations, they had to get the enhancement. I don't even think that's descriptively true. He was charged with falsifying a business record, which is a misdemeanor, but then the enhancement is what makes it a felony. That's why it was controversial, because felonies have a longer statute of limitations. I don't even think Tim knows how the case is operating.
So let's just say you're 100% right, and I'm
which he's not, which is why, by the way, Brian Shapiro needs to debate in Twitch and YouTube politics. He would get super sharp, super quick.
100% wrong. Let's just assume that for a moment. I'm not quite sure, but let's just assume that for a moment. I was talking also about the moralities of the case, and you were asking me about E. Jean Carroll. And while I don't want to go into the details of that case, I wasn't there.
You don't know either.
Okay, but he was.
I do.
Again, it goes back to what I said earlier.
What was he accused of doing?
He was found.
He was accused of digitally penetrating a woman in a changing room 30 years ago.
Liable for sexual.
What does that mean? What
Judge
did he do?
Characterized it as rape, as penetrating her with his fingers. A jury found that he was liable. Now, I wasn't there.
And not just that, add in the Access Hollywood tape, Tim. How do you explain that? How do you go from he likely digitally penetrated this woman to him saying that he's done it, that you can do whatever you want when you're rich or powerful? How do you not like take those two dots and connect them? That's what's crazy to me. That's where the Trump sweeping gets absolutely insane to me. How do you not watch like the Access Hollywood tape and then watch a woman say he did what he said in the Access Hollywood tape, and then have like 40 other accusers, and then have that girl who said that she was a part of the Epstein sex trafficking ring? How do you not go, yeah, this probably happened? I really don't understand it.
You weren't there, but here's what I do know.
What year did it take place?
I don't recall. It was many years ago, but
30 years ago.
But the point is, he has a track record with how he has treated women from a moral standpoint.
How was it? Let me ask you this question: how was it that E. Jean Carroll was able to bring a case 30 years after the fact?
You're asking me how?
It's very important to the case. Okay, well, it's actually a key component.
So by your argument, Bill Cosby's never raped anybody before.
I asked you a question,
and by your logic, because it was 30 years ago, it couldn't have happened. Why are you asking me that?
You're changing the subject again.
No, you're asking me 30 years.
No, he's not.
I think the issue is you're so ignorant on these issues.
I don't think I'm ignorant at all. I think you're.
So then, what was the pretext?
You're unwilling to put any responsibility on Donald Trump for anything.
What was the pretext? Trump is wrong. Trump is bad. We've already agreed. He's done
wrong
bad
and
things.
Bad and illegal are different things.
So and this is a liability case, not a legality case, not a criminal case.
Sure.
So the pretext by which the case came about is extremely important in law, and I'm asking you the details because you don't know. I presume you don't know, and that's why you hold this position.
Okay. All I said to you, and you want to quiz me on these cases, but I
don't know what you're talking about.
Tim, is he a liable sexual abuser? Yes or no?
No.
So he's not a felon. He's not a liable sexual abuser.
Oh, well, actually, let me clarify. If I get 3 guys to come in here with badges on and they say you're a rapist, are you a rapist?
If I'm found liable in a court of law, I could be liable for sexual abuse.
I mean, I'm
pretty sure if 3 cops came in here and it was presented in a courtroom, my attorneys would defend me. And
what if I paid off a judge?
Oh, so you're saying Trump paid off? Or I'm sorry,
I'm not.
Carroll paid. Okay.
I'm asking you a question to understand your moral worldview.
That's not a non sequitur.
I'm asking you a question to determine what your moral worldview is.
Sure.
You keep changing the subject and interrupting when I ask these questions.
Damn, I'm actually really hating this because I think that Brian Shapiro destroys Tim Pool's Trump defense. Dude, I hope he does at some point, man, because the momentum, the stupid people are just eating this shit up. Stupid people are like, you came in here, you can't even argue the specifics of the case, and yet you insist that Donald Trump is a bad guy. Orange man bad, orange man bad, orange man bad. Ha 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 ha. Like, I guarantee you that's what the chat is. So the fact that, like, you don't know the specifics of the case. Now, does that actually change the facts of the matter? Absolutely not. It doesn't change the facts of the matter whatsoever. But is Tim probably winning with 80 IQ dipshits because they don't understand argumentation or they don't understand the facts of the matter? Absolutely. So,
apologies. Go ahead.
If a judge is bribed and finds you liable of rape, are you a rapist?
If it's proven that a judge has been bribed, then obviously you would probably win on appeal, right?
What if the judge brought the case illegally?
Is that right? Is that fair?
Well, perhaps you would. I mean, the question was, would you be a rapist? Would you consider a person to be a rapist if a judge was paid off to do it?
Not if it's proven that a judge was paid off.
But we don't know.
Was the judge paid off?
In this instance, we don't know. I'm just asking you, in a circumstance where a judge it's not a legitimate ruling.
If it's
I'm just asking questions, bro.
Ruling itself
I'm answering your
lacks
question.
merit.
I'm answering your question. If it's proven, obviously, that if a judge is paid off, then obviously.
What if a judge brought the case illicitly? Meaning it wasn't actually able to be brought into a court, but he did anyway.
Okay, so being bribed and your opinion of being illicitly brought are two completely different things.
So I'm asking these questions. If a judge brought forth a case, or I should say, a case was brought to a judge that did not have legal merit to be entered into court of law, and we're doing it anyway, and then said, you're a rapist, is that legitimate?
I know where you're going with this.
Where am I going?
And well, you're making the case that's what happened here in the E. Jean Carroll case.
I'm trying to suss
yeah,
out your
you are.
worldview on when do you determine that an act of the judiciary is not actually legal?
If that's proven, if it could be proven that way.
So the court. So
yep.
My
you asked me the judge question. I gave you my.
The point of this is, if your argument is the very blanket, a guy said a thing, we can certainly agree a guy said a thing. If the question is, did Trump in a legitimate setting face these claims and convictions? The answer is no. And I can break it all down fact by fact, detail by detail. Specifically with the E. Jean Carroll case, there's numerous factors as to why this is meritless. Notably, that the New York State legislature passed, it might have been, I think it was the state, passed a law allowing claims beyond the statute of limitations for a period of 1 year to be brought up for civil action. The only person who picked it up was E. Jean Carroll, and then it disappeared. This is lawfare. Additionally, E. Jean Carroll's story.
Sorry. So his argument, I actually Googled it while he was saying, so the New York State legislature said that you can bring up sexual abuse allegations greater than the statute of limitations for this grace period. And the intent of the law is that the statute of limitations and the social and cultural bias that had prevented people to go after their, what would you call it? Their predators, I suppose. Their victimizers. There was a cultural stigma, obviously, to going after people like that. And so the whole motivation of the law was to try to give people an opportunity to seek justice for things beyond the statute of limitations. Tim is, in my opinion, implying that the only reason why this law was created was so the New York State could go after Donald Trump. That's the implication that I just heard.
Made literally no sense. She claimed to have been wearing clothes that didn't exist. She claimed to have access to rooms that she did not have access to. And Trump, the most famous man in New York, instead of going into his hotel across the street from the Bergdorf Goodman, went into a crowded building where there was no one for this one period for no reason. None of it made sense. And we can sit here and say, well, that story is certainly strange, but why did she claim to have clothes that didn't come? Why was she claiming to wearing clothes that didn't even exist at the time? A specific dress that wasn't released until years later. More importantly, she didn't have a key to that room, nor did Trump. And she also said the Bergdorf Goodman, one of the busiest stores in New York, had no people in it. So you then say, I find that all to be credible. Okay. And the New York State legislature passed a law allowing her to bring it.
I never said that.
So why would you agree with this stuff?
The only thing that
I mean, that would be up to the jury, don't you think, Tim? Do you think like a jury of peers would be more likely to evaluate the evidence than maybe you, the fucking podcaster?
I said, Tim, was that he is a liable sexual abuser. Now, we could have disagreements on whether you think it's credible or not. I asked you the question very simply.
And here's my worldview on government.
Dude, I'm sorry, guys. I hate to say this. For people who like Trump, Tim's winning. This thing is like improperly titled. So unless Brian pulls a dunk out here in the last like 5 minutes, I'm just telling you, the Trumpanzees, they think Tim just got like an epic dunk.
I think when government makes claims, they have to prove it. And if they can't, I wouldn't do it. So when I see a guy who's clearly innocent on death row, I don't call him a murderer. I say they have cheated an innocent man. I call him an innocent man.
Once again, a clearly innocent man. So Donald Trump was boys with Jeffrey Epstein through the 80s, 90s, and thousands. There's a female victim who was 14 at the time and was sex trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein. She has a graphic description of her having consensual oral sex and hand job sex with Donald Trump. She also has a graphic story of her being raped by Donald Trump. In reference to the Jeffrey Epstein case, there are 40 sworn written affidavits by victims of Jeffrey Epstein that have not been released that probably implicate Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, and Donald Trump in sexually illegal activity. In 2003, there was a birthday book that was a part of the Jeffrey Epstein estate that had a picture of Jeffrey Epstein grooming underage women. It was a cartoon drawing that was a part of the book, basically showing that everybody knew what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And then there was a picture of Donald Trump writing a poem about enigmas to Donald Trump, to Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. This was after Donald Trump had already recruited Virginia Giuffre, who was 16 years old at the time, who worked at Mar-a-Lago as a masseur, I believe. And Jeffrey Epstein had recruited her to be a masseur for him and then started sex trafficking her to Prince Andrew, among others. And Donald Trump knew about this and didn't swear Jeffrey Epstein off until criminal charges were brought. Then add in the Access Hollywood tape, and it's like, add in all those videos of him saying like, oh yeah, I used to sneak into the teenage girls' changing room so I could steal a peek. Add in the videos of the teenage girls partying after they did their model shoots throughout the day, and boom, like what the fuck are we talking about, man? Like the amount of charity that Tim extends to Donald Trump is insane. I can only think that it's like delusion. It's either like self-delusion or grifting. There's no other explanation. Absolutely fucking insane. And I really wish Brian had a command of the facts so he could actually stomp Tim right now. It's actually kind of disappointing that he doesn't have a stronger command of the facts. Maybe he'll pull out a dunk towards the end, but I'm just telling you, MAGA people, Tim Pool's audience, they're eating this shit up. They think Tim is dominating.
When Kamala
the Parkland Five, right? They're innocent.
We're not arguing the Parkland Five.
Okay.
My point is when
Central Park 5.
You have people on death row, I oppose the death penalty, who are innocent. I won't call them a murderer. If the state falsifies evidence, and they've done this on numerous occasions to imprison innocent people, the state is the criminal. The prosecutors are the criminals.
I think here's where
and they need to be in prison.
Tim, sorry to interrupt. I think this is where our disagreement is. While we
Sacred Snow says, so you have to know the fine details of all of Trump's misdeeds despite the flood the zone tactic. I'm not saying you need to in order to be factually correct. I'm saying in order to be rhetorically effective. I'm saying that Brian, from an outside perspective, looks like he is accusing Donald Trump of being guilty of various crimes, but he does not know the evidence that supports that narrative. And so it looks like Tim has evaluated the evidence more aggressively and therefore has a better command of the subject matter. And so if you're ignorant of the case, then you're going to presume that Tim knows more and knows more of what he's talking about if you don't follow these details. That's what I'm saying. It's not about facts of the matter. I think facts of the matter are on Brian's side. I think the rhetoric is on Tim's side, which is unfortunate.
Have a lot of different disagreements on, Donald Trump, whether he's a criminal or not. The fact of the matter still stands. He was found liable for sex. Doesn't mean that it's credible. Tim, I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying here.
No. So I clarified that point. The difference between us is you trust government. I don't.
I don't trust government 100%.
But you trust them enough to convict people.
Here's what I don't. Here's what I will say, Tim. Okay, and
that's fine.
Here's what I will say, Tim, and then I'm sure you want to move on to some other stuff, but I don't always trust government. All I'm simply saying is I gave you my moral.
Yeah, government said so, and you agree.
Well, it's not just about government. It's about his behavior. It's about the things he says. It's about the things he does. I think it's an embarrassment.
I think you're.
Agreed. I think you have TDS.
Emotionally offended by Trump as a character. So you're willing to entertain illicit government action because you don't like the man?
No, I think there's a lot of reasons why I don't like Donald Trump. There's a policy standpoint of it, and then there's the moral standpoint of it.
What other policies don't you?
Atrocious human being.
I'm going to 1.25.
Okay, an atrocious human being. I think maybe we agree on that. I don't know.
This is the distinction.
You agree he's a really bad guy?
No, I wouldn't say that.
He's not a bad guy.
You said you've just changed.
Good father, good husband.
Oh, he is a great father.
Having unprotected sex with a porn star 2 weeks after Barron is born, that you think that's a good father?
I don't think a single action can define a man who's got great kids who have been very successful. I think people are neither absolutely good or absolutely evil. There's varying degrees of whether someone could be good, bad, or otherwise. And Donald Trump has certainly done things that knock him down a peg or two and bring him down to the lower tier, but he's done a pretty good job with his family, indeed. I mean, look at the success they have. His kids.
Are they all fucking Eric and Donald Trump Jr. fucking suck. And Barron has hella autism. Ivanka is probably the one person that I actually have a modicum of respect for because she actually seems to be intelligent. And Jared Kushner, I actually like, despite the corruption that he's engaged in. Like, I think the Abraham Accords were probably pretty well negotiated. Okay, let's not get triggered. That's okay. fucking oof.
Kids are well-adjusted,
Three
successful
different
individuals.
lives, yeah.
C'est la vie, I suppose.
Even Hillary Clinton on the debate stage said he was a good
this
father.
weird, like puritanical argument doesn't work on me. I'm not a conservative.
I didn't say you were.
Right. So when you say Donald Trump banged a lot of people, I'll be like, certainly
You're MAGA though.
did.
I just
That's
don't
the
think
narrative.
he's a very good person.
That's the narrative context of all this, right? Because the big thing the Dems blamed Hillary's loss on in 2016 was that she was accused of being a felon, and they thought that that made a big difference, and it did make a difference. But they thought that if they could throw that felon label onto Trump, then there was an opportunity to get that to do the same thing that happened to Hillary. But they don't realize there were a lot more intangibles under that besides the felony accusation, which is why Trump was able to spin it as outlaw. And also the law is important. I think I agree, like the law is important, which is why it's so important that we like really suss out whether there's political lawfare, because that undermines the whole trust in the entire legal system, and then you just have chaos.
I would love to see these guys talk about the fake elector scheme. I would love for them to see what's that guy? It's the something memo related to the fake elector memo. It's named after the lawyer memo. The Eastman, is it the Eastman memo? Eastman memos. Under Eastman schemes, Pence would have declared Trump the winner. Yeah, I would love to see these guys break this down. I really would. But they're either delusional or they're lying, and I don't know which one, and I'm not going to pretend to know. I'm not going to pretend to know. Fuck them. Fuck them is what I say. All right. They're all Nepo babies of the POTUS. True. Pasajero says, damn, that's the most malnourished beard I've ever seen. True. Tim, the enlightened centrist. True. Mr. Penny says, I immediately distrust people who grow out a beard that is too wispy. Patriarch says Eastman. Jack Darko says Eastman. True. And Patty says Connor. They would say, lol, what about JFK, and not understand the difference. True. GRT says, I would pay $20K to see a 3-hour combo between Dr. K and Tim Pool. True. Purple Flex says, Fast and Bulbous, yes, in a tax break, apparently. She's there now if it's effed up or whatever. Most likely both. Okay, cool. So I am... Neonix says, why religious principles hold more weight, though? That was satisfying, or wasn't satisfying, is what you're saying. Because people are of average intelligence, I would say, and that narrativizing moral values is obviously a vehicle. If secular humanism as a moral philosophy was actually like super impactful, it would have already dominated the planet, because there's so many different contradictions within religion that religion is actually relatively difficult to like hold on to if you think about it in a literalist sense. The reason why literalism continues to, religious literalism and religion in general, seem to still have a grip on humanity is because we like narratives. We like mythological narratives. We like the parable. Like if I walk up to you and I say, self-awareness leads to your capacity to do evil. Okay? Self-awareness leads to you being capable of evil. That's a relatively true statement. That's the story of Adam and Eve and the knowledge of forbidden, the fruit of forbidden knowledge. That's not interesting, though. If I just said self-awareness leads to your capacity of evil. What if I said you should tell the truth as much as possible? Okay, that's cool. That's not as sexy as a guy who led our people out of slavery, spoke with God, and God carved into stone the laws on which we will rule our society. One is clearly an infinitely sexy, an infinitely more sexy story. God, the creator of the universe, carving the laws that humanity has to obey, is infinitely more interesting than just saying, don't lie, take care of your parents, don't bang your neighbor's wife because it's going to cause drama. Like that's it. You know what I'm saying? So narrativizing morality seems to be more palatable than just stating morality in a dry, logical way. Groovy Harp says, I don't understand what motivates Tim. Money, anti-wokeness. He talks a lot about experiencing racism as a kid in Chicago. Honestly, man, I think he just climbed to the top and he just wants to stay on top. Neonix says, why religious principles hold more weight? No, that was a satisfying answer. It gives me something to think about. Thanks. Oh, okay, cool. Cool. Harmonic Fox says the Tao Te Ching is better. I haven't read it. Mostly because of racism. Purple Flex Stress says Songs of Innocence and of Experience, blank. Interesting. Dominic Galletta says, just read Greek philosophy where much of the moral and ethical aspects of religion come from without the guilt and hocus pocus bullshit. And if that appeals to your personality type, if you want morality stated flatly, then you can just study philosophy. You could just study secular humanism, or you could study the Greek philosophy or whatever. How would you explain the Enlightenment from that perspective? I would say the Enlightenment arguably is rooted in like a biblical conception of logos. So logos in the introduction of Genesis is that spoken truth. It not only is it of God, but spoken truth is like divine. And so within the Enlightenment, rationalism kind of becomes like this new God where spoken truth, no matter how harsh, is necessary. And it's the purifying strata, it's the purifying foundation of our civilization is rational, truthful speech. And so that's why freedom of conscience and freedom of speech is so necessary. It's the First Amendment. It's one of the most important concepts within the Constitution of the United States, is that rational, truthful speech is a purifying blade through which we increasingly sharpen society, or a whetstone, I should say. Truthful, rational speech is a whetstone that sharpens our society. And that's like one of the first principles. Tao Te Ching is interesting, says this Yasabi. True. Kazura says, do you remember Barron saying anything to Biden? It's on. I remember that being like a Twitter video, if you're talking about Barron Trump, but I don't remember. I don't know the context. I don't even know if it was an AI video. I have no idea. But what I'm going to say, guys, so we're only at 3 hours and 30 minutes. I tried to go for 4 hours and change. If there's some content that's popping off, I would be happy to do it. However, I need to script, shoot, and edit a Warhammer 40K episode today. I also need to script, shoot, and actually, I just need to edit a Star Wars episode today or tomorrow. And so as a result, the next like 12 hours of me are slammed. And then not just that, I did do a debate last night. So if there isn't something popping off, like, you know, Destiny Dick watching Traffic Helicopter and or an awesome debate that just hit the scene, I might wrap early today. So it's not, you know, like I said, Anonymous chatted for 20, Fast and Bulbous for 5. It's just Abby for 5. Thank you for the super chats. But realistically, you guys have been so kind this month that we basically, if we were trying to hit a goal for October, we hit our goal for October. So not enough likes on the stream. Get the numbers up. True. L. Messer says Tim Pool has a PhD in shamelessness and a black belt in disingenuousness and cynicism. Need to have a better plan to deal with something like that. D is one of the few good people at dealing with those people. Yeah, too bad Destiny is so controversial that he can't get into that room anymore. Purple Flex Stress says, well, it's ethics, isn't it? Politicos can't be ethical if they have to lie for the party, whatever sort of party that is. True. Fast and Bulbous says, where did you debate? I did modern day debates. Fast forward the first 20 minutes because everybody's just doing PowerPoint presentations about feminism. But if you go into my live stream channel, you can have a feminism debate if you want to do it. Harley says, get out of here. Don't bring yourself out. I appreciate you. Yeah, so it's either on modern day debates, or you could just go to my channel, Counterpoints Politics, and look at it there. It's just obvious. Says, hey, Connor, what do you think is going to happen in Venezuela? I think we're just going to drone strike boats. I don't think we're invading. If we invaded, that would piss off Trump's base. So I don't think that we're going to invade, even though they are sitting on a shitload of oil, which is cool. So we might do like a regime change, like a little CIA asymmetrical warfare supporting guerrillas regime change shit. But we're going to pretend that we have nothing to do with it. Dominic Galletta says, are you planning on any Philip K. Dick content on your sci-fi channel? You would have to familiarize myself. Which one's Philip? What is he responsible for? Philip K. Dick books. Blade Runner, of course. Of course. I'll probably do Blade Runner. I'll probably do Blade Runner 2049. Now, it is going to be TV shows and movies. But of course, if Blade Runner is based off of a book by Philip K. Dick, then I'll be doing Blade Runner for sure. It'll probably be during the dark age of technology. So chronologically, it'll be like right before the war with the machines. That's probably where I'll break it down. But yeah, of course. Love me some Blade Runner. Neonix says, Ashimashite. Arigato gozaimasu. Aka Batasoi, or aka Batasoi. Batasai. Says, not necessarily Kant. Even Connor's answers points to this being wrong. Interesting. Christian Blair says, no good content. Unfortunately, have a good day, Connor. In the chat, see you next time. Parasocial love to you, brother. Bay of Pigs 2.0. Exactly. K. Dick had weird experiences. True. Wrote like every good sci-fi story. I thought that was Heinlein, but I'll take it. Didn't Maduro basically offer half of the Venezuelan oil just for the sake of not going to war with the U.S.? Well, that would be based, and we should have taken it. Christian Blair says, when you are ever free, no idea when that is, react to either Boots, Marine TV series for the Sci-Fi Farscape 1998 show. Well, Christian Blair, what we'll probably do, Man in the High Castle. Interesting. I am familiar with that TV series as well. What I will probably do is I will talk to Dan. We're obviously going to wrap up. What are we doing right now? We're doing Black Hawk Down right now. We'll be doing a Black Hawk Down react tomorrow on Twitch. But we will obviously we'll add Boots to the list for sure. But anyways, I love you guys. Thank you to the 130 people cross-platform who hung out with us today. I parasocially love you. Thank you for the super chats to the people who did super chat. Thank you to all the guys who financially supported us through the month. Absolutely insane. The Oilers oiled. The small donors donoed. The chatters chatted. The VOD viewers viewed. And seriously, it was a beautiful, 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 beautiful month. And thank you kindly for your viewership. Thank you kindly for your financial support. Thank you kindly for everything. I love that I get to do this as a job. So anyways, parasocial love to you and yours. Go watch the debate from last night. Have a great day. Bye for now.